In the studio we laugh all day. She's got that sass in every way. Talking fast, not a pause in sight. Leanie's got my head in a spin tonight. Oh, shut up, Leanie, can't you see? You talk so much, it's drowning me. With your white hair and sassy flair, just give me a breath, let me share. Podcast queen with a wicked smile, running jokes mile after mile. Try to speak, but in she slides. Leanie makes it a wild ride. Smile, running jokes mile after mile. I try to speak, but in she slides. Leanie makes it a wild ride. Oh, shut up, Leanie, can't you see? You talk so much, it's drowning me. With your white hair and sassy flair, just give me a breath, let me share. Oh, Leanie, don't get me wrong, can't imagine life without your song. But girl, you've gotta let me in. This ain't just your show to win. So here I stand with my mic in hand, trying to keep this show as planned. Leanie laughs, guess it's gonna stay a little secret every day. Trying to keep this show as planned. Leanie laughs, guess it's gonna stay a little secret every day. Oh, shut up, Leanie, can't you see? You talk so much, it's drowning me. With your white hair and sassy flair, just give me a breath, let me share. Let me share. Oh, Leanie, don't get me wrong, can't imagine life without your song. But girl, you've gotta let me. This ain't just your show to win. Oh, shut up, Leanie, can't you see? You talk so much, it's drowning me. With your white hair and sassy flair, just give me a breath, let me share. Oh, Leanie, don't get me wrong, can't imagine your life without your song. But girl, you've gotta let me. This ain't just your show to win. So here I stand with my mic in hand, trying to keep this show as planned. Leanie laughs, guess it's gonna stay a little secret every day. So here I stand with my mic in hand, trying to keep this show as planned. Leanie laughs, guess it's gonna stay a little secret every day. Oh, 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 oh. It started with a chat, just a few of us there, talking about life and the stuff we all share. From kids to chaos and the mess we make, we bonded over laughs and every mistake. From bad hair days to a joke or two, no topic was off limits, nothing taboo. We laughed till we cried, had each other's backs. A sisterhood formed in the middle of tracks. Sisterhood of the chat, we're strong and we're loud. From West Virginia, Liverpool, we're proud. From Texas to Australia, we've got the best. Lifting each other up, we pass every test. From the East Coast to the West, we cheer. From Indiana to New York, we're always here. From late night texts to early morning calls, we've been through it all, big and small. From talking fashion to the crazy stuff, we got each other's backs when life gets tough. We send memes and pics of the day gone wrong and the occasional "can you believe this song?" We share everything, no secrets to keep, like a wild dream that we never want to sleep. Sisterhood of the chat, we're strong and we're loud. From West Virginia, Liverpool, we're proud. From Texas to Australia, we've got the best. Lifting each other up, we pass every test. From the East Coast to the West, we cheer. From Indiana to New York, we're always here. From Tennessee, where the music plays, to sweet tea nights and lazy days. From England's hills to the country roads, our sisterhood's a bond that forever grows. Sisterhood of the chat, we're strong and we're loud. From West Virginia, Liverpool, we're proud. From Texas to Australia, we've got the best. Lifting each other up, we pass every test. From the East Coast to the West, we cheer. From Indiana to New York, here. Through the highs and the lows, we've been there. When the world feels heavy, we just don't care. We're loud, we're bold, we're a little bit wild, but always there for each other, with hearts so mild. Sisterhood of the chat, we're strong and we're loud. From West Virginia, Liverpool, we're proud. From Texas to Australia, we've got the best. Lifting each other up, we pass every test. From the East Coast to the West, we cheer. From Indiana to New York, we're always here. So here's to the sisters who make life so sweet. We've got each other, no defeat. From the chat to the heart, it's all the same. We're a sisterhood forever in the friendship game. According to Leanie, the eclipse is to blame, but truly the Lord brought us together, and we'll never be the same.
Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Oh, up there in the naked bushes, nobody's saying hi. How's everybody doing? What'd you get into today? What are you getting into? What's going on? This is a different time for me, I know. But you got to get it in when you can get it in, y'all. That's just the way it goes around here. There's no way I could keep a schedule because I'm just not a scheduled person. Hi, Sasha. Good to see you, love. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for that. Thank you. The Real Lunch Lady is the manager of this channel. She wrote all of our music because she hated me playing StreamYard music. So I'm grateful to her for that. So yeah, I'm pulling double duty around the clock on these YouTube streets because there's so much I'm interested in and too many things probably that I've got my hands in. But, you know, I bring it to you as I find it. And hi, Becca. Good to see you, love bug. Bring it to you as I find it and as I hear about it. Thinking maybe that you're interested too. Miss June, good to see you, chat. Thank you for coming in. So I did a live late last night on y'all, it just left me. Lord have mercy, Lord. It was on Letitia Stout. If you have not heard, her conviction was overturned. She is no longer a convicted murderer, in case you have not heard. In case you thought, some people even thought it was a hoax. No, it's very true. Letitia Stout was convicted in 2023 of the murder of her stepson, Gannon, and many other things, y'all. And that was a terrible, terrible, vicious crime against a child. And so because her conviction last week was overturned on the 4th, we are going back over the court case and watching the trial again together on late nights for anybody that might be up or have some insomnia to get caught up, because there will be another court case, you guys. She's going to have to go back to trial. It was overturned because of a biased juror. Now, this was not the juror's fault. The juror did disclose that his son-in-law actually worked for the prosecutor's office. And because he was an alternate, I guess they just didn't think it was worth like just replacing him. I guess they just figured that, you know, he was an alternate and he probably would never be used in the trial. So that was that. Well, then it came down to they needed an alternate for deliberations, and he was it. So you guys know, whenever they have their, whenever they get to go back and after they've been convicted and do their appeals, their lawyers will go over the court case, like the way everybody's looking at each other, the way everybody's talking to each other, all of the evidence, backgrounds of everybody, because they're looking to appeal whatever sentence their client was given. And y'all, they found it. They found it. And so the courts had to overturn that conviction. And so here we are, having to look at that dumb bitch in the face again. I cannot believe it. I cannot. I'm still in shock about it. Hopefully, they're going to use the same lawyers, maybe the same judge. That way, this won't take too long to go back to trial. And because if they bring in new lawyers, then it could be, a couple of years for them to educate themselves with the case and figure out how to defend it. Hi, Lolly. Good to see you, honey. Thank you for being in here. So that's what we're doing on late nights, guys. So if you guys have some insomnia or you wake up to Zach and just can't fall back asleep, jump over, hang out with us. We have a good chat going on the overnights, and that's a really, really. I mean, the case is tough. It's really tough to listen to because they were actually playing audio of Gannon talking to Letitia and things like that. So it's kind of a hard thing to listen to, but at the same time, I want justice completely for Gannon and support his family as they're going to have to go back through this. Anyways, it's good to see people in chat. I don't know too much about this time of day, how it works, who's interested, who's not. I'm just kind of throwing around different times. Not that I could ever really set myself to a schedule because I got too much in my life going on. But when I can get it, I get it. Do I think she did it? You didn't watch it. You mean Letitia Stalk? Oh, yeah, absolutely she did it. Absolutely. There was never any question whether she did it. And she was sentenced to life without parole along with other charges. But because of the juror bias, they had to overturn it. So it's got to be retried again. Do I think she's going to get off this time? No way. No way. But it's just taking up more court time. It's more grievance on the family. It just, I mean, the very first thing Letitia Stalk did when this was reported, she called the police, right? And the first thing she did was belittle Gannon. She told the police that Gannon ran away. I mean, she started that ball rolling of, everything was Gannon's fault. Nothing was her fault. He was an 11-year-old little boy, y'all. He's 11. That poor baby went through so much. His dad wasn't in town. He was going through so much physically and mentally, and he was alone. And it's a very, very sad case. All right, so we're going to get right into this, jump into this. As we know, yesterday, when I was live yesterday, we were talking about the Nancy Guthrie case. And in the meantime, while we were talking, they were having a community meeting, or how they do those once a month, the town hall meetings and stuff, where they bring people are allowed to speak at them, and they bring in things that they want a law made for or something changed or whatever. Well, Chris Nanos was brought up into it. Sheriff, I don't know. That's what I call him, Sheriff, I don't know. They've got enough signatures to have at least brought it to the town hall meeting to have the officers look into Chris Nanos' background and see that there were quite a few things that he left out of his resume or his background that probably would have kept him from even running for the sheriff's election, right? So when I was still live yesterday, they were still in the town hall meeting. Well, I got the 411 on it. He was given 10 questions, I think it is. We'll go back over and we'll look at it. He was given 10 questions in 10 business days to submit his answers to those. And so we're gonna, I think they've got at least some of the questions. So we're gonna take a look at that. And then also there's something to do with Nancy's bedroom and the garage. Some new, why there's such an interest in that. So we're gonna find out about that as well. And do we think that, and does anybody else think that genetic genealogy will be the thing to solve the Nancy Guthrie case? So let's just get into it. Welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. Just hit the like for me. That's all I ever ask of anybody. And let's just get into this real quick. Let me pull up what happened yesterday. Hopefully they are going to give us the questions that that Nanos was given, that he has 10 working days to respond to. And y'all, they want him out. They want it. There's more than enough people that want him out, especially the people that worked for him. They don't want to be led by this man. And after everything that I've seen and what you've probably seen, I wouldn't want it either. So welcome. Let's get right into this right here. My source, you guys, is News for Tucson, KBOA-TV. Let me float our disclaimer in chat. This is a fair use disclaimer. Copyright Act of 1976 gives allowance for this content to be used for purposes of criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. So there you go. Hi, Katrina. So good to see you. Thank you for coming in, love bug. Possum, good to see you. Tashi was in here last night and asked about you. We had to tell her that you went to bed or you went to work or something. All right, let me try to make this as big as I can. Y'all watch your ears because I cannot control your volume on this. All right, let's see what happened yesterday with Nanos. Mr. I don't know.
We have an update on the talks involving Pima County deputies involving Sheriff Chris Nanos. He now has 10 business days to respond to a list of questions. News for Tucson's Andrew Capasso is live in downtown with more on what's happening out there. Andrew.
Yeah, Monica, good evening to you. This meeting between the Board of Supervisors wrapping up just in the past hour. The supervisors meeting behind closed doors with outside counsel, deciding how to move forward. So now we know what the Board of Supervisors, the information they want from the sheriff. First, his time with the El Paso Police Department. That includes the time he was there, why he left, and the discipline he faced. Remember, there were some questions about what was in the sheriff's resume. The sheriff had said it was a clerical error, and the correct resume is in his personnel file. The other thing the Board of Supervisors wants to know, disciplinary action involving his former opponent in the sheriff's race, Heather Lappin, also involving Aaron Cross. Also, what is happening to avoid the appearance of retaliation. Third, any talks he's had with immigration enforcement authorities since 2021. And finally, questions about the budget for the sheriff's department, including what the sheriff is doing to stay within budget moving forward. So back out here live, I spoke just a few minutes ago with Pima County Supervisor Matt Hines. He brought this item forward to the board. He says the sheriff, as you mentioned, Monica, has 10 business days to respond to this list of concerns from the Board of Supervisors. It can either be in a written form or it can be here in the public hearing room at the next supervisors meeting. Now, Supervisor Hines says, though, if the sheriff does not comply, if he doesn't respond to these requests, or if he doesn't answer to the satisfaction of the supervisors, then according to the law, which is in place, the supervisors could take steps to remove Sheriff Nanos from that office. So there's going to be a lot happening here in the next 2 weeks. I've just reached out to the sheriff's department to try to get a response to this Board of Supervisor action from the sheriff. I have not heard back yet. We're going to continue to follow it. As soon as we get more details, we'll send it your way. That is the latest. Live downtown, I'm Andrew Capasso, News 4 Tucson. Monica, for now, we'll send it back to you.
Wow. How about that? Thank you so much, Lanchi, for putting that in for me. Driving me, I'll be home in 10 minutes. Okay, honey. Hi, Wild Angel. Good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Listen, I want this to happen. I think in the long run of things, it's going to be a good thing, but I'm worried because basically 10 working days, that's 2 weeks. And then they're going to have to, verify everything that he submits. And then they're going to have to make a decision on it one way or the other. How far is this going to put off the investigation for Nancy Guthrie? Is this going to, is it going to slow things down? Is it going to, inhibit some more? Are people, going to be displaced in the meantime of trying to look for her because of this going on? I don't know. I mean, I understand that sometimes things get slowed down when you're taking huge action, but in the end game, everything works out, and it works out for the better. And that's my hope for this. But I'm so worried that this is going to take a lot of eyes off of the case right now. I don't know. Sasha says, I'm watching from the UK, but I think he must go. Well, welcome. Sasha, you're welcome. Even if you're in the UK, honey, you could say whatever you want to. Feel any way you want to. And by the way, I know you probably don't like your king, but I love me some old Chuck. Anyhow, it's got to be done. It's got to be done. I've had a lot of people come in and talk to us about, how they think that Sheriff, I don't know, Nanos, either is directly or indirectly involved in the disappearance of Nancy. And not only that he may have a hand in the hindrance of this. Lizzo, I didn't even see you. Hi, love, bud. Good to see you. Y'all, I'm starting to believe it a little. I mean, I hate to I hate to jump on a bandwagon, but something's off and something's wrong. And if the right steps were taken in this investigation in the very beginning, I think this would be over. That's just me. I could be wrong because I don't know all the details. But I'm just saying, we can all clearly see that this investigation was not handled properly at all. At all. Sasha says, surely the FBI are working on Nancy Guthrie case. So would it affect them if Sheriff is not around? Well, so the FBI and some of the detectives from Pima County, which would work for the sheriff, they have a task force, but it is out of, they set it up in Phoenix. So what I'm saying is just the distractions, just the distractions. Is it going to pull them off their game? Is it going to, I don't know. I just know it doesn't matter where you work. If there's some kind of drama in the background, it takes people off their game no matter what you do, right? Lizzo has always said that she thinks that the sheriff could very well be involved. Lizzo says, I think the case could get solved soon just so he can keep his job. Well, see, and then I'm on the other spectrum. I'm like, do you think the sheriff is holding back stuff or has information that could help solve it, but he's hanging on to it because he's got that info? And I mean, he could be arrested, you guys, for holding with information from the authorities. But look, this is the same guy that 2 weekends ago tried to carry on a loaded gun on an airplane. Same guy. So he was trying to board an airplane with a loaded gun in his backpack. And they got him. And if that was you or me, do you not think we're going straight to jail? Do not pass go, do not collect $200 and we would be in front of a judge within 2 days? Oh no, he was the sheriff of Pima County. So All he had to do was secure the gun and they let him board his flight. That just doesn't happen. That's just odd. That's just weird. Like, why? Why? And why would he have a loaded gun going on to this airplane? I mean, he's clearly going to be out of his jurisdiction. So why would you even take a loaded gun? You're not part of the Marshals, the U.S. Marshals. So why would you even think you're allowed to get away with that? Well, obviously he was. They just said you have to secure it. So whatever that means. Does it mean leave the bullets here, but you can take your firearm with you? I don't even understand what you got to secure it means. And then he did secure it and they allowed him to take his flight. Who knows, Eva? I just feel like he's getting away with so much. And maybe this happens every day in every place in America. And I just don't know because I try to stay behind my white fence. Liz says maybe he will use what he knows as the bargaining tool. Maybe, but I would think that would put him in jail. But again, you can't even get arrested for a loaded gun going on an airplane. I guess you're cool. I guess you're cool. I'm blown away. I am. I really am. And even though I believe, and I think most of us do believe, that he absolutely needs to be taken from this case. And I think we just need to start over, even though a lot of it is all gone. Hi, Matchmaker. Good to see you, Love Bug. Thank you for coming in. I think we just need to go back to the beginning. Or hopefully somebody took some really, really good notes on it. So anyways, there is that. Thank you all so much for being here. Give this a thumbs up for me. That's all I ever ask of you, and I appreciate you. Come on down and chat. Let us know what you think about this. You won't be blasted at all for your theory or your thoughts here. We don't do that here. We respect others' rights to have their own opinions, even if it doesn't match mine. I'm good. You don't have to match me. Let's just be adults about it. And I love a good debate anyway, y'all. All right. So the other thing is that I wanted to bring up was this. I saw this, you guys. I was kind of a little bit like, wait, what? So there's a civilian now that is offered even more money, you guys, into the Nancy Guthrie case. And when I say civilian, what I mean is someone that's not connected that we know of. Okay. So why? I haven't watched this. I just saw it on there. I was like, oh, well, we're going to talk about this because I love talking about genetic genealogy. I'm very invested in genealogy. I found my bio father at age 49, and that's a whole mess, and it's a whole story in itself that maybe one day we'll get into. So I'm very oh, my baby child is here, y'all. My baby child just boy, if he don't ever come home, he must want something, especially when I'm home. He only wants his dad usually. Oh, hi, Erica. Good to see you. All right, let's take a listen to this. Well, I find out what he wants. All right. Y'all, my source is News Nation, and it's going to have Mr. Pretty Eyes on this. You guys know who that is. That's Brian Enton. By the way, this lady's got really pretty eyes too. Anyways, Brian Enton, and this is in the Nancy Guthrie search, genetic genealogy, 100K reward and new question. This was put out yesterday. Yesterday it was dropped. So a News Nation compilation covering new forensic strategies, reward efforts, and scrutiny of Nancy Guthrie's investigation. Let's take a listen, you guys. Let's take a listen.
into her mother's abduction. Nancy Guthrie was taken from her Arizona home in the overnight hours of February 1st and has not been seen or heard from since. The search spans nationwide. One Milwaukee man now offering a $100,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of Guthrie's kidnapper. Sunday marks 8 weeks since she was reported missing, and some new details about that day coming to light this week. Here is News Nation correspondent Brian Enton with more tonight.
Natasha, this interview really is just so heartbreaking. I mean, the agony that Savannah Guthrie is going through, the fact that it's now been almost 2 months since her mom, Nancy, went missing, literally just vanishing from her home outside Tucson in the middle of the night. The 2 back doors were propped open. That's a new piece of information that came from Savannah. Savannah says that her mom was taken in her pajamas without shoes. There was blood found at the front of the house, which we knew. We were able to get video of that soon after all of this happened, but it's still such a mystery. And Savannah says that they don't have much information. From what we know, there are no solid leads. There's been no arrest. Savannah says, though, that she's determined to get through this, leaning on her faith. She's determined not to let this ruin her life.
153 pounds, and these pants are an extra small. So I know most people show these pants where they're big and they're loose and they're baggy, but I wanted to show you if you size down what they are.
I will not let whoever did this take my children's mother from them. I will not let them take my joy. They will not take my sister's joy. They will not take my brother's joy. They will not take our love. They will not take our faith. But our anguish is real. Mm-hmm. We need help. We need someone to tell the truth.
Mm-hmm. Really just so heartbreaking to hear Savannah Guthrie explain what she's going through, what her family is going through. She does plan, though, to return to the Today Show on April 6th. Natasha.
Yeah, Brian Enton with that tonight. Thank you. And as the search for Nancy Guthrie continues, one key piece of evidence could give us the break in the case we need: DNA. And a new episode of my podcast, The Truth of the Matter, was just posted to News Nation's YouTube page tonight, looking at if investigative genetic genealogy could hold the key. Here's a preview. The FBI is honing in on key dates in the Nancy Guthrie case. Investigators now asking the public to focus on several specific dates: January 11th, January 24th, and the early morning hours of February 1st, raising new questions about whether the person responsible may have been near her home before she vanished, if there was planning or any digital or biological evidence left behind. I spoke with Mark Garagos. He's a renowned defense attorney known for representing everyone from Sean P. Diddy Combs to Michael Jackson to the Menendez brothers. He's been closely tracking the Guthrie case. This is what he told me.
I think what they've done here, if I had to guess, is they have located some geo tracking type evidence that suggests that a similar somebody who was in the area weeks before and then 8 days before also corresponds to the night before.
Weeks stretching on and nothing but agony for Savannah and the Guthrie family, continuously asking the public for their help and not to forget.
Everyone is looking for you, Mommy, everywhere. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. We need to know where she is. We need her to come home. It is never too late to do the right thing. And we are here. We are in agony. It is unbearable.
Another potential key: investigative genetic genealogy, the technology used to find Brian Kohberger and identify the Golden State Killer. A woman at the forefront of this technique believes it's simply a matter of time before genetic genealogy solves the Guthrie case, and that there can be lessons learned from one of her previous cases, that of 12-year-old Michelle Welch. In 1986, she took her 2 little sisters to a park to play in Tacoma, Washington. She left them briefly to make them sandwiches. Her sisters found a restroom, and when they came back, Michelle's bike was there, the lunches were there. Michelle was not. That night, searchers found her body. The 6th grader had been sexually assaulted and murdered. The case went cold for decades. No one knew who killed her. That was until over 30 years later, police hired Cece Moore, who solved the crime within hours. Yes, hours, using investigative genetic genealogy. She used a DNA sample from the crime scene to build a family tree, which led her to the killer. Gary Hartman, a psych ward nurse married to a psychologist still living in that same area where he took Michela's life. The confirmation coming after detectives tailed him, getting his DNA from a brown paper napkin at a restaurant. Well, Cece Moore has solved more than 300 cases, and she believes investigative genetic genealogy will crack the Nancy Guthrie case. Here she is on the Truth of the Matter podcast. What are your overarching thoughts about the Nancy Guthrie case and what genetic genealogy can do here? What are the lessons that you've learned?
If they can get a viable profile from her actual kidnapper, he will be identified through investigative genetic genealogy if no other avenue works. It will happen. Oh, I don't even like to think of this, but if there is a second crime scene that is discovered or her, remains, then that gives them another opportunity to find DNA. And so even if for some reason they don't have a viable profile now, it's not that all hope is extinguished, because there may be another opportunity.
Are you fairly confident that there is a second crime scene in the Nancy Guthrie case?
I mean, sure, she had to be held somewhere. That alone is a crime, right? If she's kidnapped and held against her will, that place she's being held is a second crime scene. Or if she was deceased, in the car or something, again, that is also what I would call a second crime scene. And so it's just a matter of time before authorities close in on something like that. I really believe that with all the resources given to this case, I find it hard to imagine that there isn't a car out there that has Nancy's DNA and the perpetrator's DNA, or a place where she was held, or an item that has maybe a mixture of Nancy's DNA and the perpetrator's DNA. I mean, we know it's out there. We leave DNA everywhere. Nancy would have left DNA everywhere she was taken, and the perpetrator would have as well. So it's just a matter of finding that. And I believe, these investigators are incredible at their jobs.
Well, Cece talks about the one thing she wants investigators to do now before it's too late, and more on how she cracked that cold case of the 12-year-old girl, only to find out the killer was in her own family tree. To hear that full conversation, check out the Truth of the Matter podcast. You can use your phone, scan the QR code on your screen, find it on News Nation's YouTube page right now, or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
A vet told Rob Lowe this about cottage cheese and aging dogs. Watch this.
You feed your dogs cheese?
Yeah, a lot of search for missing 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie is now nearing the 2-month mark. There are still no arrests and no clear answers. Her daughter, Savannah, speaking out for the first time about the turmoil she has experienced since her mother went missing, and announcing she will be going back to work at the Today Show. Investigators say Nancy was likely abducted from her Arizona home despite tens of thousands of tips. The case appears to have stalled in recent weeks. The reward for information in the case has now surged past $1 million, with newly added funds hoping to generate fresh leads as the family continues to plead for her return. Let's bring in Michael Hubie, president of Milwaukee Crime Stoppers. Michael, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
In addition to being the president of Milwaukee Crime Stoppers, you are also a high-profile attorney. You're putting up $100,000 of your own money in hopes of helping find Nancy Guthrie. You even paid for a billboard in Tucson to raise awareness. We're going to show that billboard in a moment. There it is. The question many people are wondering is why? Why help out in this case, Michael?
Well, I'm president of Milwaukee Crime Stoppers. I paid $75,000 to solve the murders of 2 small girls, and I have $200,000 pending now in 5 murder cases in Milwaukee. And I was sad that an 84-year-old woman was abducted without her meds. Her heart monitor stopped. I didn't think the publicity I didn't think the crime scene was handled properly. They didn't secure the crime scene in a way I thought they should. I don't think they got all the information they could have from the crime scene. And just to be clear, my reward is for the tip that leads to the arrest of the perpetrator. It's not to bring Mrs. Guthrie back. That's what Savannah's doing. My reward is to find the perpetrator. Some people will only come forward if they can do so anonymously,
Right.
which they can do with Crime Stoppers. Some people will only come forward if there's a reward, which they can get from Crime Stoppers. So I think that people should focus more on calling Crime Stoppers and not call the FBI or the sheriff.
Why can tips being anonymous make the difference when it comes to this investigation, Michael?
Because some people won't come forward if they're not anonymous. They don't want their friend to know they turned them in or got a reward for doing it. Well, the friend goes to prison and they get a reward.
Sure.
And people often are called snitches, so they don't want to come forward.
Savannah Guthrie sat down for an emotional first interview with the Today Show. She touched briefly on the notes that were sent to her mom. Here's a little bit of what she shared.
There are a lot of different notes, I think, that came. And I think most of them, it's my understanding, are not real. And I didn't see them. But I believe the 2 notes that we received, that we responded to, I tend to believe those are real.
Michael, based on your experience, what does that tell you now that we have a bit more information about the notes that are being evaluated? What might make certain ones stand out as credible?
Well, I think the notes are fake because if somebody kidnaps a person for ransom, what they want to do is, as soon as possible, get the ransom money and return the person. And I don't see any of that here. I don't see proof of life. I don't see a credible ransom note. I think these are fake.
Weeks ago, investigators released that surveillance video that we've all seen. It shows a masked man at Nancy's front door the night she disappeared. That detail has become such a major focus on the investigation. How much does this video that we're showing our viewers, how much does it help? And why might they still be holding back when it comes to investigators maybe hitting some snags when it comes to this investigation?
Well, the perpetrator is masked. I don't know how much the video is going to help, but someone might recognize him, and I'm going to pay to put up another billboard that shows the perpetrator. It's like a wanted poster, and maybe someone will recognize him and come forward, which often happens.
Do you think because of me? And he said, I'm sorry, sweetie, but yeah, maybe.
That's just a snip of Today host Savannah Guthrie's emotional sit-down with her former co-host Hoda Kotb, revealing alarming new details in the disappearance of her mother, Nancy. Savannah saying she blames her own fame for her mother's kidnapping, but after nearly a 2-month hiatus confirms she will be returning to the Today Show on April 6th. NewsNation senior national correspondent Brian Enton joins us live with the latest. Brian, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Nick. It really is. It's heartbreaking to listen to Savannah Guthrie, the anguish that she continues to go through, the fact that she says she wakes up in the middle of the night, every single night, thinking about her mom, Nancy, and the way she was taken from her bed, literally, while she slept. Yesterday, she explained how she didn't have any shoes on. She was just in her pajamas. All of her personal items and cell phone and purse were left behind. And today, she just made the point that they still have no answers. We don't know who took Nancy. There's been no arrests. There's been no solid leads, but she says she's determined to power through this and not let this take her down and ruin her life. Listen to what she said, Nick.
They said nothing could fix it, but wait till you see this. If your back is slouching like this, watch. So you just want to slip this over your shoulders, pull the straps, and would you look at that? Hi, I am Laura, and I created this TrueFit posture.
I will not let whoever did this take my children's mother from them. I will not let them take my joy. They will not take my sister's joy. They will not take my brother's joy. They will not take our love. They will not take our faith. But our anguish is real. We need help. We need someone to tell the truth.
Just takes one person, Nick, someone with some kind of information, maybe a small little tidbit that is just what the FBI and the local detectives need to crack this case open. It's still active behind the scenes. I know they're still testing DNA. I mean, it's not cold by any means, but as she said, you know, they have not made a lot of progress in many ways. She, by the way, plans to return to the Today Show on April 6th.
Brian Enton with the latest. Brian, thank you so much.
Welcome back, everybody. About 20 minutes past the hour here, and the Pima County, Arizona Sheriff is facing a recall hearing next week over his handling of.
I want to stop it right there because some of that is old. I'm aware of. I didn't watch it without you guys, so I didn't know some of that was old because this was just dropped yesterday. So I know they're using some old footage, some new footage, and that's okay. Hi, Heather says it's an inside job. I agree. Hi, Michelle. Good to see you again. And I can't handle Hoda either. Oh, and NorCal says a false flag propaganda. The story was a cover up for the Epstein release, and a lot of people believe that as well. This couple things went off for me about this. So the ransom notes. I don't know if you guys remember when we first heard of the ransom notes. I think the first one that we heard come out was TMZ. And then when they went live with theirs, then we got word that two stations in Tucson also received some ransom letters, notes, emails, whatever it was, right? Okay, and then Savannah comes on later and gives a one-on-one and says, I do believe that the two first ones, which I guess now we know went to the news stations, and then TMZ got all the other ones supposedly. She said, I do believe those are real. Here's what I find interesting about that, and I did talk last week about this, that I think I needed to revisit the whole ransom thing because I've been saying all along that the ransom was a red herring, that I believe it was a hit, and they threw the ransom in there as just to muddy the waters, have a little bit more time to do whatever they were going to do. But the more I think about the ransom, I still struggle with the whole TMZ thing, because anybody in their right mind, I mean, TMZ is not a reputable news organization. They're paparazzi. So I just don't see anybody really going to TMZ with a ransom note unless you're somebody like the dude in California that has already been arrested for sending or contacting the Guthrie family for a ransom. And we found out that was a hoax. If you guys hear growling in the background, those are my dogs. They are playing tug of war with a sock. And I'm in their living room, so I let them do whatever they're going to do. Anyways, but I have to reconsider the FBI ones or the news station ones that hand it over to the FBI. And here's why. Because, and I'm not saying I'm changing up my theory of this, I'm just saying I think I need to reconsider and rethink how it would fit in all of this. TMZ went, out of all the supposed ransom notes that they got, they've given us a little bit of information here, a little information what was in them there, probably more than we should have known. The two that went to the news station, you guys, we haven't really heard anything on it. They haven't really put anything out on those. But you guys remember, I don't remember which one got it. Was it the news station that got it, or was it TMZ that reported it, that they were taking the ransom seriously because in one of those ransom notes, it talked about her iWatch being left there and her pacemaker disconnecting from the iWatch. And they said the reason why they're taking that seriously is because we didn't know that. They hadn't put it out publicly that there was an iWatch left. The only thing they put out publicly was that her purse, her keys, and her cell phone right there in the house. Next to her bed until the ransom note came out. I can't remember who was the one that got that. And inside that note, it talked about the iWatch. And that's how we all came to know about that. So wouldn't the only people that knew about the iWatch be the police, the sheriff's department, maybe the FBI at that time, and the perpetrator? So when I thought about it like that, I was like, well, wait a second. Okay, now I need to go back and figure out how the watch came into play. Who was the one that put it out there? Was it TMZ that put it out there? It doesn't matter. We weren't privy to that information. So somebody on the inside had to either put that out to us or the ransom was real. What says you? Michelle says, right, TMZ is not news, but they are big for getting information out there. So I'm not sure about the ransom notes, and maybe it's somebody who wants attention. That's how you're going to get it. Well, that's a good point, Michelle, because if you remember, like, who was it? BTK Killer. He didn't want to be caught, but yet he taunted the police using the news stations, right? He would send letters that he would cut out. This is back before DNA, but he would cut out letters like from newspapers and stuff like that and make a note. And then he would send it into the station. They would read it on air. He just wanted to be notorious for his crimes. Somebody said, I don't remember what program I was watching, that this guy, obviously, he doesn't want us to know who he is because that's an arrest, right? That's your life in prison. But does he want to be notorious? Does he want to give enough out there saying, haha, you guys, you're not going to get, because BTK really thought he wasn't going to get caught. And I think that if he had stayed in hiding instead of going so many years without creating a crime and then redoing a crime and all that, I think he could have gotten away with it longer. Do I think it would have never been solved? No, because of DNA. Eventually, these kind of crimes will not be happening because it's only a matter of time before all of the databases are opened up for this very thing right here. And I was kind of blown away that they said on this program right here that the lady who does, that solved that one crime within hours, come to find out the guy who did it was in her own family tree. Could you imagine? Oh, slap in the face. So it just makes me wonder. Hi, Jimmy. Good to see you. Good question. It makes me wonder if this guy is looking for some kind of notoriety. We know that happens a lot. It does. It happens a lot. People don't want to get caught, but they want the notoriety for it. So there's that. I'm going to drop this part off right now. Let me see. Hold on. Okay, I'm doing the right thing. Okay. So that caught my eye and then, or my ears, it made me perk up just a little bit. And I am going to do some research and find out when we first heard of the watch, because I think that's really important to figure out now. No, they did not find Nancy or the perp yet. No, Jimmy, sorry. Exactly. There is evil that want to be heard and noticed and not necessarily caught, right? Erica says, maybe I'm dumb, but what is an iWatch? So like an Apple Watch? Yeah, thank you, Lizzo. Maybe I'm not even saying it right. Is it called an iWatch or an Apple Watch? I don't own one. I thought it was called an iWatch. It could be me, Erica. Sorry if I've confused people. I don't know what to call them. Anyways, and so I thought when listening to this, I liked what Garrigo said. I am happy to hear that almost every person that I listened to being interviewed about this almost every one of them, if not all of them, are saying, yes, it will be solved. It will be solved. It won't be tomorrow, but it will be solved. And I do believe it'll be solved. Do I think that we'll find her body? Sadly, no, I don't. I don't think we're going to find a body, but I think this will be solved. And let's just hope that Garagos is right, that they have some kind of DNA or some kind of something that could, a family tree could be totally built from it. Let's hope. Jimmy says the son-in-law did it. I believe that the son-in-law was the mastermind. Possum says, call it a smartwatch to cover all the bases. Okay, smartwatch. Thank you. So I'm taking it that there are different types of watches. Got it. Okay. Michelle says, right. And there's another thing. These evil people think they can outsmart the law enforcement. So if they want attention, they may not care and put ransom notes out there. Right. Exactly right. And some people just, it's kind of like, my son's school was involved in a school. They had a school shooting at his school. It was one of the most horrific days of my life, to tell you the truth. And I've had a couple of them, but that's up there in the top 3. And they ended up gathering all the kids, took hours to find everybody. It was terrible. And the meeting place was at the high school. He was in junior high. The meeting place was at the high school, so we were all being. It was a terrible day. But there was 2 high school kids that thought, of course they had lockdown all over Indianapolis when that happened, of all the schools. So everybody knew that there was a school shooting in my son's school, and they were all being bused to the high school. So these 2 kids thought, well, shit, we want to get out of school too. So what they do? They use their iPads, because in Indiana, we don't have school books anymore. We only have iPads. They use their iPads to send in a threat that they were going to shoot up the high school, because they thought it was going to be funny. They knew the kids were being shipped over there, and it would just cause chaos. Y'all, scary. I mean, you can imagine how scary it was anyways. And then you can feel like it's starting somewhere, and all this rumblings happening and chaos, standing outside the school, waiting hours and hours and hours to get your kid and to figure out where your kid's at and all this other shit. And you can see where the earthquake's happening, right? And it starts coming through the crowd, and it finally hits you. And it's that there's a school shooter inside the high school now, where supposedly my kid's been transferred from another school that he just had a shooting in. Hundreds of people out there freaking out. You start hearing this loud noise. I started hearing this loud, weird noise, but I knew what it was because of my affiliation with the military. I knew that was the sound of boots. And I turned around, and I just can't explain to you the hope that I felt when I saw SWAT coming. I mean, they were practically, it looked like they were arm in arm, soldiers dressed in all black, high-powered rifles, total tactical gear, marching into that high school. And y'all, I'm telling you, within 20 minutes, they were marching right back out with these 2 teenage boys that had thought this would be exciting, but they were stupid and didn't think about that our school system knows everything that's going on with your iPads. So they just walked up to him and said, oh, let's go, and let me have that iPad. But it was terrible, and it was terrifying. Not that what we weren't living through wasn't already terrifying, but to be told out there that there's a school shooter inside the high school now, and that's where, it was terrible. So people do that just because A, could be funny, B, reputation. If they were never found, would they have gone back to school the next week and said, you guys remember that hoax? We were the ones that did it. No. They were expelled from school, and I don't know whatever happened to them. The names weren't even ever, I'm sure the kids in the school knew who they were. I didn't even try to find out who the names were, because I was dealing with my son's school and who was the school shooter there. So anyways, all that stuff. Let's see. Will she be gone 60 days now? Yeah, it's been 2 months already, Jimmy, and they don't find her. Yeah. Bring Nancy home, Erica says. Jimmy says, do you think she's alive or has died? I think, sadly, that she's dead. Whose wheelchair is it? It's just, I didn't even realize that was up there by itself. Sorry, that's kind of dramatic. It's just an AI thing I made about, it just reminded me of Nancy in a desert with no shoes on and not being able to walk and in just pajamas. And that's what it reminded me of. So that's what I use as the background to some of this. Wow, how terrifying. Yeah, it was terrible. It was one of my top 3 days, probably top 2. Hi, Gia, good to see you. Jimmy thinks that she's alive. I hope, but I don't believe she's still alive. No. All right, so I want to pull this up now, you guys. Let's take a look at this because you guys know she was seen 2 weeks ago. You mean over there in Mexico? Listen, we know, we did a whole live on it. We know over in Mexico she could get the pills and the medication that she needed very easily. But the fact that the feds and Border Patrol and all of that just kind of let the whole Mexico theory drop leads me to believe that they don't believe she was even over there, even though I do believe her body's in the Mexican desert. But I'm not law enforcement, and it's not proven. That's right, Lisa. That's right. All right. So you guys know that we're gonna watch The Goat on here. I only watched a part of it and I thought this is good stuff. I'm gonna bring it to everybody. The Goat being Nancy Grace. I know some people do not like Nancy Grace. She's my boo thing, y'all. Nancy Grace is my boo thing, okay? And you can dislike her if you want to. That's fine. Listen, I don't pay her bills. You can say whatever you want to. I think she's the GOAT. And I used to not be able to stand her, but the older I get, the more pissed off I get and the sassier and the bad attitude. Yeah, it's all happening to me. So now I get Nancy and we're BFFs and she don't even know it. Anyways, so I'm going to bring this up. This was actually yesterday's, day before yesterday, I think. Live she did, Nancy Guthrie's mom missing day 65. Now, she already put out last night's too, but when I saw this one, I was like, ooh, we need to listen to this one. This one's major. All right, so because it talks about there's new interest in Nancy Guthrie's bedroom and in the garage. Now, we all know that there's been some interest in the bedroom because, I mean, we watched the feds and the prosecutor and the sheriff's department, whoever was out there that day when all of those people swarmed the house. We watched them spend a lot of time in the courtyard right next to Nancy Guthrie's bedroom. And we watched them kind of walk in and out and was looking around in her bedroom. And on top of that, the Today Show did a segment a couple years back with Nancy Grace in her bedroom teaching people how to properly make a bed. I mean, what else? What else? It was content for them, and they used it. Hindsight's 2020, right? Some things should just be left private. But like I said, hindsight's 2020. So no judgment on that here. It's sad to think about the very place that she was taken from. We actually have footage of her in that room. So sad. Erica said, what is this about her being seen? Lizzo. Gia says, I'd get a Nancy Grace if I needed a lawyer. Damn right. Same here, Katrina says. All right. So, yeah, somebody said, Erica, that 2 weeks ago there was a sighting of her. The new ransom note. That's where it came from. The new ransom note, not the newest one, the one prior to that said that there was a timeline and they seen her alive in Mexico with some people. And then the newest one said there's no longer a timeline for getting them the Bitcoin because, well, they didn't come right out and say it, but we took it all to mean that she was already deceased. So that's that. But there was never been any proof on it. All right, let's take a look at this and find out what they're talking about with the garage and what's going on with the bedroom. Nothing we probably already don't know, but who can put it better than Nancy, y'all? Nancy Grace, my girl, my boo thing. All right. Watch your ears, y'all.
Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie, missing day 65. This, as we learn, special emphasis is now being placed on Mrs. Guthrie's bedroom and her garage. But why? I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us. Straight out to Crime Stories investigative reporter Dave Mack. Dave, what's the latest?
Nancy, one of the things that we've been wanting was Savannah Guthrie back on the Today Show. I say we wanting. The American people want to see some normalcy because, bless her heart, after 2 months, it's been a long, long time coming. But Savannah made her appearance back as pre-announced on the Today Show. Take a listen.
Welcome to Today on this Monday morning. We are so glad you started your week with us, and it is good to be home.
Yes, it is good to have you back at home.
Well, here we go. Ready or not?
Yeah.
Let's do the news.
Yes, so good to have you back.
Savannah also did another announcement. This one was for her church website. And in this video is very, very personal, very, very personal at times, talking about her faith and about the Easter season and what it means to her and how it applies to what her family has been going through since the disappearance of her mother. It is a very touching video.
I have long believed that we miss out on fully celebrating resurrection if we do not acknowledge the feelings of loss, pain, and yes, death. It is the darkness that makes this morning's light so magnificent, so blindingly beautiful. It is all the brighter because it is so desperately needed. So I close my eyes this morning and I feel the sunshine. I see a bright vision of the day when heaven and earth pass away because they are one on earth as it is in heaven. When we celebrate today, this is what we celebrate. And I celebrate too. I still believe. And so I say with conviction, Happy Easter.
So this is my first day starting free printable Tai Chi walking program. And this is me now. If you're a woman over...
I just have to stop it right there. So I know on Easter Sunday, she posted that to her church's website. And I actually, I heard she had done it. I forgot it. I didn't go listen to it. But what caught me just now is when she said that we celebrate even, yes, death. Was she speaking of the crucifixion of Jesus and him dying? Was it in reference to, yes, I know my mom's dead? I mean, could it be a mixture of both? Is whatever. I wonder sometimes. I know in the early days when she did, her Instagram posts, we know that a lot of that was scripted by some law enforcement, right? They told her what to say, how to talk to supposedly the abductors, the ransom people, whatever, right? But now I wonder, when she does these things on her own, like her one-on-one, like what we just heard just now, are there words and maybe even sentences or phrases that she's using to talk directly to the people that took her mother. It would be worth listening to and trying to figure that out. And even having, I would be interested in somebody finding someone who can read between the lines as a profession and tell us what's all going on there. Liza says, I'm pretty sure the perp will be watching a lot of YouTubers and news channels, and I believe the perp has been by the house many times. I agree. That's so like them, though. It's so like them, isn't it? They always return. They want to see their handiwork. They want to see what we know. That's why Brian Koberger, went back. I don't think he necessarily went back for the stupid sheep that he left there. He went back because there was nothing being reported on the news yet. He wanted to see who was awake in the house, and didn't they even notice what he had done? That's what I believe. And so we know that perpetrators do stupid shit like that because they want to know too. They want to know what we know.
Savannah Guthrie in a video posted for Easter Sunday through her church website.
Dave Mack, renewed interest in Mrs. Guthrie's bedroom and garage. Why?
We figured out that Nancy Guthrie regularly went through her garage getting into her house. But only thing that's been taken out to be examined has been her vehicle, which investigators had for a couple of weeks. But there were 6 days, Nancy, from the time she went missing until the time investigators even took her car out of the garage. So there's plenty of opportunities to find something in there. Was that a staging area by the potential kidnappers? We also have the bedroom. You've mentioned before, the home was in immaculate condition, yet there were certain things that were showing law enforcement that something bad had taken place. So now they're back trying to figure out the exact layout of that bedroom. Where were things placed, and what could possibly be anything?
So were any objects placed in a different location than they normally would have been? To Chris McDonough joining us tonight, director at the Cold Case Foundation, former homicide detective. He had an extensive experience in searching for suspects in Mexico, over 300 homicides under his belt. And he is the star of The Interview Room on YouTube. Chris McDonough, you have a special interest in Miss Guthrie's bedroom. Explain.
So, Nancy, if we look at the bedroom where she's, making the bed, for an example, what I think the public is looking at is her making the bed. What I'm looking at is what we would call a control zone between the bed and the wall. Because if the suspect comes in there, and this is her pattern of life, to sleep on the left side of that bed, notice there's an alarm clock there. Notice her books are there. Notice her chair is there. All these items tell us that that's the side that she would be. So now picture this suspect on the left side of that bed. That also gives us an indication of potentially a point of entry into the house. Now, and that goes into this idea of the tarps. Where did this tarp idea come from? And how is the suspect going to control her and, quote, put her in a tarp? I think that's out of play here. And it goes back to the blood evidence on the front porch where he's taken her through the front door.
If you have a hanging belly, I beg you to try this.
Do this for 10 minutes a day to get snatched by May, starting Monday, April 6th.
That's video of the inside of Mrs. Guthrie's home from our friends at Today on YouTube on one of Savannah's visits. Why do you think the theory about a tarp, and I agree with you for other reasons, by the way, why do you think that's misplaced?
Well, everybody has said, it looks like a tarp in his backpack. Okay. Well, if you're going to control her in that house, the place you're going to do it is in that bedroom. And if you look at we look where she's standing on the side of that bed, showing us how she makes her bedroom, how she makes her bed in the morning. That is a pattern of life. So are the books. She's a big reader. So is the alarm clock. So, the chair being there is critical because that's where she probably sits in the morning, at that age, you want to be moving your legs, you want to be, moving your body and just kind of waking up. And so the elderly need these types of items nearby. What we don't see is the Apple Watch, device, the charger device that allegedly disconnects at 2:28 in the morning.
Let's take another look at the video of her in the bedroom. I want to take a careful look beside her bed. You're right. That's where she would charge her phone, most likely, and her hearing device, right by the bed. But it looks like she's got it put away for the cameras. Now, why is her routine so significant to you, Chris McDonough? I'm not disagreeing with you, but I don't understand the probative value of which side of the bed she rolls out on.
Well, because the suspect would have to, confront her on this side of the bed. So when Savannah describes the horror of what mom is potentially seeing here, well, the suspect knows for a fact he's got her between the bed and the wall. So she's trapped. So if you think about that, horror from an 85-year-old woman looking at this guy dressed up like this in her bedroom, the first thing she's going to do, or he's going to do, is, push that terror a little bit more. Maybe she turns on the light. That's right there. And all of this is a control mechanism for the suspect. So it puts us in the mind potentially of the perpetrator.
From our friends at Today on YouTube on one of Savannah's visits. And to you, Joe Scott Morgan, joining us, professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University, and author of Blood Beneath My.
I want to stop it right there just a second because I want to touch on what he says just a little bit. That makes a lot of sense to me. The latest thing that has come out is that the house was immaculate, right? Nothing was moved out of the way, nothing. But just now, they say that, yes, the house was immaculate, but some things were just not right. Hi, Spencer. Thank you for being here. And that makes me, I think Madonna is onto something, because say her chair was right there on that side of the bed or close to, did they have to scoot it out of the way to get her? I mean, he touched on it a little bit, but I don't think enough. Listen, I'm 56 years old. My body freaking hates me. Hi, Ocean Wave. My body has said F you to me a long time ago. Hi, TKS. Good to see you. Hi, Nancy. It's good to see you. And this woman was 84 years old. Y'all, sometimes it takes me a minute. I got to sit up and I got to stretch my toes out and hope I don't get a freaking cramp in the back of my leg or something. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it takes a minute. It's very rare that I'm just jump up and I'm bushy-tailed and all that, right? Imagine an 84-year-old woman. It takes them a minute to get up and to get oriented, get their minds oriented to what's going on. Sometimes you might even lay in the bed and just stretch for a little while, wake up, figure you're not in a weird place. You start recognizing things. You know how it is. We all have those nights and mornings. That right there is exactly why I think that there was blood, because I think when they went to go, them or him went to go and get her up, maybe he got exasperated that it was taking her so long to get some kind of movement going. And as Maggie would say, it gave her a smack or something, right? Or did she stumble? Did she fall against something because she's not stable yet? She's got movement problems, mobility problems anyways. So it makes you wonder, did she fall into a wall, fall into a standing dresser or something, bopped her nose, or, her tooth hit her lip? I don't know. But it does make sense that even though the house, they say now, is immaculate, but who knows what the hell to believe. First, we heard that there was blood all over the bedroom. Then we heard that there was just blood all in the over by the living room or whatever. And then we heard that there's just drops of blood by the front door. I don't know what the hell to believe, you guys. I really, really don't. But it would make sense. Something would have to be changed or just not sitting right. But obviously, if she left without a robe on, Now remember, it's cold. You see how the perpetrator's dressed. It's cold outside, you guys. Apparently, she's in jammies and no shoes. So they were getting her out freaking fast. Hi, Stru. Good to see you. Thank you for coming in. They were getting her out fast. They intended this to be like bada bing, bada bang, but let's go. Hi, YouTube student. Those are just my thoughts on it. Simplify. Hello from Boise, Idaho. Hello to you. Hi, Laurel. Oh, I love your name, Laurel. That's a pretty name. I hope that lovely lady is still alive. If not, send her remains to the family. So the right thing, it's not too late. God may forgive. Yes, I agree. I agree. Just bring her home. Let her go home. Let her go home. I want to just jump in chat really quick, see what everybody is saying, and then we'll continue on with this. Katrina says, this is so terrible, sharing the details of her life with the rest of the world. Yes, TKS from the Gulf Coast of Alabama. It's here, Ocean Waves. They have done her in. Nancy's. I pray she's alive. May God be with her. Erica, it is not a waste of time because they don't necessarily know she has passed away. Even if she's passed away, it would be to bring the Guthrie family some closure. Katrina says, I take my hats off to you, Leanie, Lunchy, and all of you who have been able to stay tuned throughout the entire process. It's been too much for my heart. Thank you, Katrina. I appreciate it so much. I just appreciate the support. Spencer says 100% dead. She died of a heart attack or something from stress and fear. He wouldn't keep her alive this long. I agree. But I don't think that necessarily he's the one that murdered her. I think like you, that it was a heart attack or something. Spencer says it's unbelievably terrible. Hi, Brittany. Good to see you. My body did the same thing. Yeah, just told you to fuck off, Brittany. Yeah, it's terrible when that happens. Girl, it's terrible. She was too fragile. Lord have mercy. Jimmy says she could be in a house somewhere. Could be, yes. Thank you, Lizzo. Simplify from Boise. Lord have mercy on Nancy. Gia says, Stru Babe is here. Laurel, why people be doing this stuff? Nancy, tell me now. When you find out, white student, you let me know, honey. You let me know. Thank you for your thoughts. Oh, that's so nice. Thank you. Possum. No, my wife hides shit all the time and swears that's where I left it. Patty says, hi, hello, good to see you. Thank you for coming in. I pray they get closer, me too. Stacy Marie, why aren't we giving the hundreds of thousands of missing children this much attention? I agree. And I do say that quite often. And look, I'm aware that I very well could be one of the problems in this. And truth be told, well, I'm not even going to say it because I don't want to get blasted. But, you know, up until this, I was very selective about true crime. I didn't want to cover anything that I didn't know a lot about because, you know, I don't believe in just putting shit out there. I want to make sure that I've done my research and to my best ability, and then ask you guys to do yours as well. Don't take my word as the gospel at all. Do your own research. And the truth is that I had no intentions of doing this when it broke. It's just that we have a mod chat and a friendship chat, and we all started talking about it at the same time. We were blown away. We were floored, and we were all running ideas off of each other. And it was just one of the things that we ended up talking about several times a day together. And I was just like, this is it. We're going to cover this. Let's go cover it. And so here we are. I'm very aware that the reason why Nancy Guthrie gets as much attention as she gets is because of who her daughter is. And I'm very aware that certain certain people do get more coverage, and it has to do with many things such as age, ethnicity, money, things like that. I'm very aware of that. I can only do what I can do and pray that I am making some sort of difference. I hope that explains a little bit about me. Trey, good to see you. It's certainly tragic. Nancy Grace loves being on TV. Well, I would too. If I was Nancy, she's making a killing. She's my boo thing. I love her. Hi, William. Navy Graph has as much a connection to the truth as Donald Trump does. Okay, thanks for sharing that. Appreciate it. Trey says, God help this lost, simple world. Amen. Katrina says, I think Nancy's just doing a job that she's really good at. I think if she didn't do it, someone else would. That's right. Well, not only that, it is her job. It's her passion. It's her life's work. This is her life's work. And if she shut up, listen, if it's your mom out there missing, you're going to want Nancy Grace to be covering it. You're going to want Banfield. You're going to want all of these other people. You're going to want me to keep you, anybody. And I'm not saying I didn't mean me by being, I'm just this big person that does. I don't mean that. You want everybody and anybody talking about it because somebody knows. And eventually somebody's going to reach somebody that's not scared to turn these people in who did this. So there's my story. I'm sticking to it. Let's get back to the GOAT.
My feet on Amazon. He is the star of a hit podcast series, Body Bags with Joseph Scott Morgan. Joe Scott, the fact that that was his point of control to me is not probative. I can't use it to prove anything, except that's where I would find the DNA or the static prints. Right there. Chris McDonough is right. That's the place to look if Nano's people had thought to do it. Maybe they did, doubtful, but maybe they did. What do you think?
That area where she is, and you're right, that can potentially be a point of control because you're going to remove her from that spot. Well, what happens with that? You know, when we go through our daily life, we don't think about where we put our hands. We don't think about where we step. The same thing applies, say, for instance, to a perpetrator at a crime scene. You just go through these motions. You don't think about, well, what happens if I leave something here and the cops find it later? All right, because you're focused on trying to get control over a subject, for instance, in a kidnapping. So yeah, that whole area in there has potential for contamination. They're not thinking where they're stepping. They're not thinking where they're touching. And it's not just, say, for instance, fingerprints are leaving behind. It can be touch DNA. And touch DNA also, we can have deposition of, say, sloughing skin cells that fall off of the wrist, say the areas that aren't gloved, maybe they've left a hair behind. Nancy, do you realize that in an area like that, if you don't secure it, you don't treat it like you're going into a surgical suite as a crime scene investigator, that stuff can be lost very, very easily because it's so incredibly fragile. That's what it brings us back to, this point of scene security, being able to freeze things in that moment in time as best we possibly can. So not only can we document it, photograph it, but we can collect it. At this point in time, there's nothing to collect.
If you've got an old fence that you've been thinking of replacing, or you're just looking to add a new fence to your property, we're one of the top-rated fence and deck companies in the state. And right now, this month, we have an offer going on where we can.
If you have been leaning on credit cards lately just to cover 03 financing.net/Nancy, and good luck. Dave Mack, you also mentioned that renewed interest is in not only her bedroom, and now with Chris McDonough and Joe Scott Morgan explaining it, we see why, but renewed interest in her garage. Do you know why?
The interest is that the investigation had her vehicle for a couple of weeks, but we don't know what they were able to collect inside the garage. That door remained shut. Every time it's been opened where cameras were trained on it, the vehicle was pulled in and the door was shut. So investigators going back into the garage looking for prints and anything else they can possibly find.
You know, that raises another question, Joe Scott. Let's take a look as best as we can from the video of her home that shows her garage. We believe there was a clicker that opened the garage. We know that Annie Guthrie's husband brought her home that evening. But very often there is a control panel as well. This video from our friends at 12 News. And those control panels are just about the easiest thing in the world to hack, which leads us to the possibility that the garage was the entry point. Is that where they're headed? We know the back door was propped open, maybe with flower pots. We know the front door was used as the exit for Mrs. Guthrie. But what about the garage door? How do you hack it? And what evidence could be obtained from that garage panel? Is that what they're up to, Joe Scott?
Very well be. And listen, the garage is an interesting spot because if you're trying to, say, sequester yourself from the view of the rest of the world, and I'm thinking here, the watchword here is containment. If you're trying to get control over somebody, but yet you're still trying to exit a structure, what a perfect area to do this because you've got cover, right? Now, we don't know about other cameras and other data that might be collected in that area, but it is a perfect area. And if you have somebody that is sophisticated enough, at least when it comes to electronics and this sort of thing, yeah, I suppose that it could have been hacked. Most of the time, those control panels are inside of the house. So how does this work? Is it on Bluetooth, for instance? Because we know that there's a signaling device because all of us that do have garage door openers, that's something, we can just be rolling down the road, right? This is old technology. And you press the button and you're still several feet away, maybe even yards away from your house. And your door begins to lift at that point in time. Is there some way they could have gotten into that? I think that question has to be asked and it has to be answered. Is there any way to trace that and try to understand if anybody could have accessed that area through some type of potential hack?
Can garage door openers be hacked? Absolutely. They can be hacked. They use low frequency radio waves. You heard Joe Scott state that very often you have a panel on the inside, but of course you have a panel on the outside that is visible. So you yourself can get in if you don't have your flicker. They're usually on a 300 to 400 MHz range. It communicates between your remote and the motor unit. Now, it's kind of like car radios. It's how they send songs through the air or how spoken word travels as sound. Same thing with garage door radio waves. They carry coded signals and they tell your door to open or close. How easy is it to hack into a garage? You can even do it with a toy. Watch.
We are really looking at a way that you could possibly brute force your way into any fixed code garage or gate.
Oh my God.
Using a device like the IMMe.
It's a toy from Mattel. I don't think they make it anymore. But some hackers out there found that it actually has a pretty cool chip inside called the CC1110. It's a microcontroller with a transceiver. And the transceiver is really cool because it actually transmits and receives on a really wide range of frequencies, down to around 200 megahertz up to like 950 megahertz. So you can talk to a lot of things, including garages, cars, power meters, alarm systems, all sorts of things are in those bands.
And there's actually some contacts underneath a battery in the back, which allows you to flash the board, erase it, and install your own software on this device. So you can program in the De Bruijn sequence and then use this device to play those bits at the frequency you want to play and basically open any garage door or gate you like.
That from Veritasium on YouTube.
Holy cow, you guys. Oh, let me tell you why that's disturbing. We use the garage, right? We come in and out of our garage. We never use the front door. Okay. It's just easier. Garage. Y'all, do you know how much trouble I get into? Like a lot from my kids, my husband, because I don't always lock the door that's in between the house and the garage. Like I let the garage door down, but then I'll just come in and shut the door, not worry about locking it because I feel safe. You know, I got the garage door in between. And what? Y'all got to rethink the whole way I live my life. That is scary as hell. And second of all, people got way too much time on their hands to be, who would figure that out?
So Joe Scott Morgan, hacking in is really easy.
Yeah, it's absolutely terrifying how easy it is. We're not talking about something, Nancy, here like a cellular device or some type of iPad or something like that. We're talking about access and control to your own residence. And when you see it demonstrated how easy it is to facilitate this, it brings into question how sophisticated do the individuals have to be that do this. And if you've got a crew of people that specialize, say for instance, in things like robbery or intimidation or this sort of thing, I got to tell you that garage door seems like it's really easy to defeat. That really broadens your spectrum here relative to what type of person that you're looking at that could have perpetrated this crime, Nancy.
But to Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter, if the garage door was hacked, wouldn't there be a log? Wouldn't there be evidence that the door opened and closed? I don't know if it would be the same if it was hacked.
That's the question I have because, we know what time Nancy Guthrie was home, because the garage door opened and closed, and that was documented. So if the garage door remote was hacked and the door was open, would that hack cause for the door to not document when it's open and closed? If it goes around it, then yeah, we got a problem. But if not, if it documents every time the door is open and closed, then we would be able to find that out.
So this foundation stick right here is by far my favorite. It's white, but when it goes on and then you
Hi guys, Nancy Grace here. Please join Nancy Grace. Stream it first on Fox 1. I hope to see you there, and thank you, friend.
Joe Scott Morgan, we were talking about renewed interest in not only Mrs. Guthrie's bedroom, but her garage as well, which leads me to the possibility of other blood evidence, whether they collected it or not. Question to you. Many people have asked me if blood would reveal whether it is from the nose, like a nosebleed, or the mouth, if anticoagulant was used. Let's take another shot of Mrs. Guthrie. There's one of her in a lawn chair, and there's one of her with Savannah. Let's see the one with Savannah where you can see her hand and arm. I believe it's her left hand and arm. You see that she has bleeding under the skin, which is really common when you're using an anticoagulant like Eliquis or some similar anticoagulant. A, can you tell if an anticoagulant is in the blood? Would the blood pattern look different? And also, can you tell by looking at the blood if it's nose blood or mouth blood?
Okay, let's take the image first and talk about that. You're absolutely right, because when we are on blood thinners, there's been a study that has been done from a forensic perspective relative to warfarin, or otherwise known as Coumadin. That you will see this presentation in particularly the elderly, because that's generally the population that it applies to. Other people can be on blood thinners, don't get me wrong, but however, let's focus on the elderly. So and plus the skin itself is almost parchment-like. The older you get, less collagen, skin breaks really easy. Now, that brings us to this idea, can you tell the difference between deposition that, say, comes from a limb like this, like from the hand, the wrist, the upper arm, and compared to, say, the nose, the mouth, which we refer to as the nasopharynx area? Well, yeah, you actually can, and that's demonstrated in the blood that you see on the stoop. In my opinion, based upon these images that we have, because it appears that this blood, these droplets, have what's referred to as indications of aeration, which means it's passed through the nasopharynx, perhaps through the nose, through the mouth. Michael Bodden even stated this on Fox relative to this, and I concur with his assessment as well, Nancy.
Also tonight, an Amazon package being studied, not just the package, but when and how it got there. Dave Mack, take a look at this video of the porch guy. There you see him, and that is Jan 31 into the early morning hours of February. No package. Then, by the next day, there is a package. Take a look at it, Dave Mack.
It's shocking that it's crystal clear right there. Before, no package. Now, we clearly see a package. Was this used as bait? For instance, you're walking in the middle of the night. That's all I can figure out, Nancy, is that you're using this package as some form of disguise of yourself. If somebody were to see you out in the neighborhood, why are you here? Oh, I got a package to deliver. That's the only reason you would see it there. But if it's really an Amazon package, then we can document when it was delivered, who delivered it, and what time they were there.
Well, as a matter of fact, Dave Mack, in Pima County, an earlier attempted home invasion was facilitated by a female pretending, these guys in conjunction, by a female pretending to deliver a package. Let's switch to the woman acting like, there she goes. See her? That's exactly what you're talking about. But I see a problem, Dave Mack. Let's go back to the before and after. He may have the package in hand when he's skulking around or have it somewhere to reach for and pretend he's a delivery person. But here you see porch guy, it's not there when he's there, and then it's delivered. Here's where I'm going. To Chris McDonough joining us, director of Cold Case Foundation, former homicide detective, and star of the Interview Room on YouTube. We here at Crime Stories have now conducted our own investigation. Even the older models of Amazon delivery trucks have cameras. They're not 360, but they're really good. The newer delivery trucks do have 360. So what, if anything, was captured in the days leading up to Nancy Guthrie's kidnapping? It's a treasure trove of information.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're going to be able to see, this truck pull up to that residence, and you're going to see anything that's out of place prior to the abduction. And like Dave said on the porch, with that package there, you're going to know date, time, right up to the minute where they took that picture. You're going to have the metadata on that phone when that picture was taken. And my gut tells me, Nancy, that he saw that blood and went, oh, whoa, and he placed it off to the side there, took a picture, and he went about, doing his thing, not thinking, obviously that there was a potential problem here.
American homeowners, the FBI.
I'm just going to say this. I remember when we brought this first out, we have our own a source here at Accordingly. Her name is JB, and she's a mod here, but she is also a 20-year retired FBI agent. She's such a great help and a great resource to have. She's the one that actually saw the package. I didn't know what the hell she was talking about because I was watching the video and I couldn't see a package anywhere. She's like, the package. I was like, it's not a package. And we were kind of fussing about it. And then she sent me the picture. I was like, oh God, I didn't even notice that in that picture, right? But my question is, knowing even, and I'm sure they've already verified, is it a true package that was delivered and by whom and at what time? Does that change anything? Does it change the time? Does it change the timeline? No, it doesn't change the timeline. all it does is show that the crime scene was contaminated a little bit sooner. If the package was delivered before Nancy Guthrie's kids discovered that she was missing. Oh, but wait, they didn't even bother taking any shoe print, molds of the shoe print or the tire prints. And what I want to know is, so like in my area, I live in a rural area. When Amazon comes or UPS or stuff like that, if it's just something quick like what we saw on Nancy's, they'll just park right there in front of my house, run it up, do the thing, and get the hell out. If it is like a bigger package, they'll back into my driveway. And so I'm wondering, I think that's different in all places, is it not? Where how drivers, where they would park next to your house, whether it be like a little bit maybe in your driveway, in front of your house or whatever. That just goes back to me about how they shoulda, coulda, woulda, the minute the police got there, they should have roped that shit off and started impressions in that sand on her driveway. Impressions of tire marks and things like that. Many cases have been solved because of tire tread that was left behind, but you actually gotta make the mold of it. Danielle, don't tell me to shut up. Exit stage right. Max says, I agree. It's the son-in-law. Jimmy says she is with him. I do not believe that because the son-in-law's with his wife most of the time, unless you believe that Annie Guthrie, the daughter, has something involved in it too. Jimmy says Anna and the son-in-law asked her for money and she said no. A lot of people do believe in that. Hello, Max. Good to see you. Brian, doesn't anyone think it's odd that tomato hot sauce dude just sent a weak, kind of sick old woman into a garage and didn't walk her into the house? I think that's very odd. They claim they take excellent care of her. Say it louder, honey, for the people in the back. We've all been bitching about that too. Who just drops mama off? Good luck to you, mom. Get you a cup of tea. You okay, mom? I mean, even us girls, we're going to make sure mama gets in there, I'll never understand that, especially when it's being said over and over and over by Savannah that her brother-in-law, Tommy, that's what she calls him, Tommy, and Annie were the best caregivers for her mom. Oh, really? Because all we know is that garage was shut down in less than 2 whole minutes. So they didn't walk mommy in the house. There's that. And she has trouble walking, you guys. I wouldn't have thought, I need to walk my mom in the house because there could be a stranger in there and there could be an abduction. No, I want to just make sure mom's comfortable. She doesn't trip over the steps stepping up from the garage to get into the house. Like, mom, you good? I'd be like, you good, mom? You need me to do anything? And my mom would just probably send me out and say, get the hell out of my house. And I'd be like, cool, see you next time. But no, I will never understand just dropping your mother-in-law who has, or anybody off, anybody at that age, even a friend. I couldn't imagine dropping them off when they have mobility issues. Sue says, I think this case was fudged up from the very beginning, and it's truly sad. Good to see you, Sue. Thank you for coming in. Luigi, who's that witch? Luigi, if you're talking about Nancy Guthrie, she is my boo thing, and you're not allowed to talk about her like that. I love her. Sue says, Lizzo, hi, how are you today? Any news on Nancy Guthrie case? No, not really. Not really. We're just going over, Sheriff Nanos. He has been given 10 working days to submit some questions that the town hall, I forget what you call those people, counselor, the town hall, how they get together, once a month and stuff like that, and they change laws or try to put a new law in place and stuff like that. Well, his name has been brought up in that for an investigation. So they issued him some questions that they want answers. He's got 10 days, 10 working days starting today to get those answers turned back into the council. And then from there, they will decide if they're going to go ahead with proceedings to release him from his job or let him keep it. So we'll know in about 10 days about that. And then the new thing was that supposedly the task force is now really looking into Nancy Guthrie's bedroom and also into the garage more. I don't know if they've been out to the house. The last I heard was that Annie and Tabasco hot sauce dude were in the house removing large boxes out of it. I did not see that personally. That's just what I've heard. So I don't know. We'll see. Things are running slow, but things are at least still running. Trisha, it's so good to see you, honey. Wanted to stop in and say hi to everyone. Can't stay, but my opinion, I think the sister and son-in-law did it. Got to run. Love you too, Trisha. Have a great day, honey. Linda, it's so good to see you. So confused with what's going on here. How can I help you with that, Linda? How can I help you with that, honey? Hopefully I got something that'll help. Miss Barbara's here, you guys. The matriarch. Ma Barb is here. I just had 8 tubes of blood, Leanie. Eat your heart out. I am. I'm so sad. Listen, y'all, if you know anything about me, I love my blood taken. I blackmail my doctor all the time to take blood from me. Because I want to know before my body tells me that, something's wrong. Brian says, they couldn't even pick her up. Poor mom had to take an Uber to eat dinner. She lives only a few miles away. And once again, they take such good care of mom. Yeah, right. I am in agreement right there too. Yeah. I'd be like, no, mom, we're just going to come and get you. Now, I have to be fair. I have to play the other side of this. I hope at 83 that if my kids tell me what I'm doing, I'm going to be like hell. Like, I will take my Uber. I'm good to go. But my point is, why take her back home if you're not going to make sure she gets in the house? Okay. I mean, couldn't she have taken an Uber back home? I mean, the same thing would have happened. They just dropped her at the door, or dropped her at the driveway, So, I mean, tomato hot sauce dude didn't do anything better for their mother than what an Uber driver would have done. But I have to say that, there are some older women, Barbara Smith, that will tell you to fuck off in a heartbeat, and she's doing what the hell she wants. And I hope I'm like that too. I hope I, at that age, do not have to depend on my kids. But I will say this. As a mom whose whole life literally has revolved around kids and now grandkids and still my kids, I could see my kids saying, Mom, look, we get it. You want to live alone. You don't want to live with us. But we're going to make sure that every security is in place in this house, if not for you, but for us, because I don't want to worry. And if my kids put it to me like that, like you're just worrying me, I would show some grace and say, okay, to that, because I know what worry's like. You know what's worry's like. It sucks so bad to have anxiety. So if I could take that from my kids, just by throwing nanny cams around the house, I could walk around flipping them off because I know my kids would be watching me. I'm all about it. Let's do it. Tomasco was driving her car. No, not her car. No. They have their own car, Jimmy. From what I understand, they had their own car, and her car was parked in the garage. Carol, welcome. Go grandparent. No grandparent is just like Uber. Go grandparent is just, I think that's supposed to be no grandparent is just like, I think what you're saying is, hi, sorry, that's my dog. I think what you're saying is that they treated her just like an Uber driver would have. If I'm wrong, let me know, Carol, welcome. Now I've been injected with radiation and have to wait for it to distribute out into my body for a PET scan. I'll get in touch with you later today, Ma Barb, find out what's going on there. Get down, little girl. I'm a bit older too and want my independence as long as I can keep it. Miss Sue, I'm with you. I don't want to go live with them brats that I raised. Now I love my children. I really do. But I'm like my mama. I'll be damned if them brats that I raised are going to be telling me what to do. I didn't tell my mom what to do. When my mom said, I'm done going to the doctor, you're not taking me to the damn doctor. Like, take yourself to the doctor. I had to be the one to go out there and tell my oldest sister, look, mom says she's done. If you want to go fight with mom, go fight with mom. But I'm not taking mom anymore. She says no, and she has the right to say no. Good morning, Tashi. Good to see you. Oh, no grandparent takes an Uber. I agree with that. If my kid, any one of my kids said, Mom, you're not taking the Uber, we're just going to come and get you, or we're going to send one of our kids to come get you, I'd be like, right on, let's go, save me some money, shoot. But I'd be scared to, even today at my age at 56, I would not feel comfortable about getting in a car with a stranger. I just wouldn't, because listen, even me in this foul mouth, they may take me they'll bring me back, believe you me, because I'm not going to shut the hell up. But they could try to take me. And then once they got me, they'd be like, oh, hell no, we're taking her right back to her family. Nobody needs this abuse. Sun Worship. Hello, Sosa. Good to see you. It's good to see everybody in chat. All right, let's keep going with the goat. My Nancy girl. This is almost over, you guys. This is almost over. So let's get to it.
A type of real estate fraud called title theft.
Appreciate it.
Your equity.
Appreciate it, girlfriend. Appreciate it.
At HomeTitleLock.com to get a free title history report. Free title history report plus a free trial
y'all.
of their $1 million fraud. They will spend up to $1 million to fix it. Please don't be a victim. Protect your equity today. You've been working your whole life and putting money into your home. Don't lose the equity. That's HomeTitleLock.com. Promo code Nancy, or just use the link below. And good luck.
And good luck.
Some people have even opined that the Amazon package is what was in his backpack. Now, I don't know how they're divining that. They must have x-ray vision. I mean, Joe Scott Morgan, I've heard everything from he had a tarp in his backpack. He had an iPad in his backpack. Now he's got the Amazon delivery package in his backpack. Where are these theories coming from? How do they know this? I mean, I see nothing. That is just a mock-up backpack. Let's see the actual backpack on the guy's back. Because when I'm looking at this, I can't tell in any way what's in the backpack.
No, I don't think that anybody could discern this. I think that people are itching for information, and they've got a lot of spare time on their hands. I'm looking at this, Nancy. I don't see anything protruding, hanging out. I don't see any discernible shapes. And listen, unless you work for the CIA maybe, and you have some kind of access to high-end tech where you can discern images that might be within this thing and be able to make out outlines and all that sort of thing, I don't see how you can arrive at any solid conclusions. Right now, all we know is that the individual did, in fact, have a backpack. It appears to be an Ozark backpack, and that there is something contained within it. I don't know. For all I know, it could be his laundry. But you have to ask the question, though. It has to be asked from an investigative perspective. Why does this guy show up armed and carrying a backpack? What could have been contained therein? Because if you're going into an environment listen, just a weapon alone, he's prepared for violence, Nancy. What is it that he would need to have with him in the event that he has some kind of violent event or some type of encounter? Is this some kind of restraint mechanism he has in there? Maybe. I have no idea. Is it something that he could have used for cleaning, perhaps? Or is it something that he could have brought along, say, for instance, to contain valuables? putting stuff into a bag, within a bag, and walking out so that he doesn't draw any further attention.
America won't beat China with socialist price controls. Congress should reject MFN legislation.
You know, I just still say there's got to be video of them leaving Joe Scott. I mean, if you've got the video of him coming in, I'm hoping and praying that that's being resurrected as we speak. If you know or think you know anything about Nancy Guthrie's whereabouts, please dial toll free 800-225-5324. Or if you wish to remain anonymous, 520-882-7463. There is a $1.2+ million reward for information leading to the whereabouts of Mrs. Guthrie. No arrest is required, much less a conviction. $1.2+ million reward. And remember, people can be charged. You can be charged for aiding and abetting after the crime. A jury is allowed to consider movements and activities before, during, and after the crime. And stark reminder, Arizona does use the death penalty. Right now, it's the needle. That in mind, $1.2+ million reward on the table. We remember.
Y'all, I have to just tell you right now, Arizona does have the death penalty. And right now, they use the needle. So excited about that. Yes, I'm a proponent. I'm a proponent for that completely. Let me jump in chat, see who else here. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. Would you do me a favor? Just hit the like for me. We see similar roving nighttime porch pirates on Rain Neighbors. They carry tools and probably more gloves and any little thing they can find and steals. Thank you, Charlie, for that. I appreciate it. That's scary. Linda says she was taken by people who her family knows. They have her medicine. All was planned. Linda, I am agreeance with you that, yes, someone in the family is definitely in on this. I sadly do not believe that she's alive, but I want to be wrong. Tashi, her voice was tripping you out. Oh, I know. How long has she been missing? 67, 68 days now? I'm not sure. Adele, hello. I believe son-in-law, tomato, hot sauce do, Adele said, has something to do with Nancy's disappearance. I'm right there reading from the same page you are, girlfriend. And I'm going to sit on that fence until the FBI pulls me off of it because I think he's the mastermind. Hi, Carrie. My daughter sent me an Uber when my truck broke down and couldn't come get me. So she sent an Uber so I could get to her and my son-in-law, fix my truck later that evening. Carrie, that's totally understandable, honey, because I mean, that's kind of an emergency situation. Nobody wants to leave mom out on the road. That's different. But to have an Uber go pick you up to bring you over to play cards and have dinner when you live right down the road, a little fishy there. Starboy the Night, good to see you again. Thank you for coming in here. 67 days. Oh, okay. Thank you, Liz. Brian says it's so frustrating with tomato hot sauce dude acting like he's too busy for poor mom, and how the sheriff dropped the investigation with his ego. If it was my mom or grandmother, I would be pulling my hair out. Agreed. Hi, Charlie. Charlie says, kinda think since she had these security cameras, she could have had an alert like many do, that someone's at her door and she opened the door to see who it was. Al. Well, yeah, that's a good theory, except for that her daughter Savannah says that she was taking out the dead of the night from her bed. Hi, honey. Good to see you. So we know that she did not answer the door. On top of that, she did have those 2 windows. There were windows in the back. I believe that the perpetrator went through the back door. I don't believe they went through the garage. I believe they went through the back door, and they were already in the house. And the person you see that's on the porch, 221, God bless my daughter. The person that you see on the porch is waiting to be let in through the front. I think that was all a change of plans, and that's why they were in the predicament they were in, dealing with that camera, because they had no thoughts of even using the front door. Let's see. Have they presumed her dead? No, not yet. Not yet. I don't think anything's going to be done until they can figure out what they're going to do with Nanos. You guys, Sheriff, I don't know. He was just brought up in the town hall yesterday. He's got 10 working days to submit answers to questions that the council wants to know. And then from there, they will decide if they are going to go ahead and let him go from his job, or if they're going to keep him on. So I think, like, for the next 10 days, things are going to we're not going to hear much coming out of there. Not that they give us anything anyways, guys. We're looking for it ourselves, and that's how we're finding it. Charlie says, wish she had a deadbolt steel security door. You can open the regular front door without the access to the house to anyone out front. She had that. That's what the cage door was on the front. The cage door that was on the front had some kind of deadbolt that either had a key that you unlock it from the outside and the inside, or on the inside was a deadbolt. And yes, some people, I don't know why you would in this day and age. I certainly would not. But some people would leave the regular door to their house unlocked because they've got the cage doors locked up. But we know that there were no cage doors in the back of the house, which makes no sense to me. John says, I bet we'll all ultimately come back to the Trump administration. No, that's not the topic of discussion here. Oh, you mean that all? Okay, I get what you're saying, that Trump's going to be blamed for it. Listen, we're still blaming President Bush for Katrina. Y'all, don't mean to be sickening, but that's just a funny I had to throw in there. Tashi says, seemingly they haven't told us fuck all, so it's so frustrating. Adele says, Lizzo, hi. People always give me flack when I say that I think it's Annie and Tomato Hot Sauce Dude, but I believe Tomato Hot Sauce Dude planned it and had other people kidnap Nancy. Say it louder for those in the back. We're reading from the same page. That's exactly what I say. Tomato Hot Sauce Dude is the mastermind, but he's not the crony that you see on the porch. Those are his little people. Tashi says, you won't get any flack here, Adele. Those theories are possibilities, except for the aliens. Not dealing with the alien abduction, y'all. Wrong place, wrong channel. You'll never convince me. You have no idea what goes on in my family. It's a total free-for-all. And I will never agree that Trump had anything to do with it, nor will I. You can talk about it being the cartel. I don't necessarily believe that, but absolutely don't come in here with the alien thing or the Trump thing. I just can't. It's killing my brain cells, y'all. What's the census with the latest letter sent to TMZ, real or not? I personally don't think it's real. Some people may think that it is. I mean, I could be right or wrong. Just my gut tells me no way, Jose. Aussie True Crime, good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Charlie says, oh wait, I missed some stuff. Hold on. Let me get back up here. After 67 days, I don't know, but I haven't been following this. I'd have to go back and see what all's been said. Seemingly beautiful. You may not want to tune in, but I do have a whole playlist. If you're interested. If not, it's probably easier just to get like Cliff Notes, to be honest, to be perfectly honest. But you're welcome to. Thank you so much, honey. Lolly says, did they make the questions public? They did release 4 of the questions. So one of the questions they want to know about his time working in El Paso. Another question is, what, if anything, did he have to do with, which I thought was interesting. What, if anything, did he have to do, Lizzo? Did they say Border Patrol or the Mexican government in the year 2021? Why? And then there were 2 other questions. There was only 4 that were released. I thought in total, though, there were supposed to be 10 questions, but I may be getting that mixed up with how many days he has to submit his replies. Maria, hello. So sad for her, but somebody had access. He and they were waiting in the house, and I believe so. Okay. Okay, you're not the only one. Some people have said that they believe that they were already in the house waiting. Lizzo says, Bronny, I think the letters are probably orchestrated by Harvey Levin to keep TMZ up there in the ratings. Very possible. Charlie says, did they ever use the tracking dogs or look for her scent in the beginning or now? On day 2, tracking dogs were brought out, and so were cadaver dogs. Both types of dogs search for different things. I don't know how big the perimeter was that they tracked. I don't know how long they stayed out there and tracked, but yes, 2 different types of Vortex dogs, which are supposed to be the best in the world, came and did the searching for her. They said they brought up nothing. The question was posed to Sheriff, I don't know, again, asking, hey, why haven't we sent the dogs back out? And I think that's legit. I mean, who knows? They could have taken Nancy, right? They bring the dogs out, they find nothing, the scent's gone. There's no dead body, so the cadaver dog is not going to find anything. But who's to say that they didn't turn around after the dogs were gone and they knew all that was going to go away and put her somewhere back next to the house? Isn't it worth letting the dogs out again? So Nano says, well, we just don't see the need to do that right now, but they're on hold right now. Somebody help me with this thought. I mean, if it was me, and nobody cares about me, but I mean, just the way I think, and I have no training in law enforcement, I would think maybe 2 weeks after the kidnapping, we probably need to bring some dogs back out, because it wouldn't be the first time that a victim has been brought back, because perpetrators know, all right, that's already been searched. They've had the dogs out there. FBI's been going. They got the drones overhead. Finally got the helicopter out there, y'all. That took only 2 weeks to do, but that's okay. I'm being facetious, y'all, in case you don't know me. It wouldn't be the first time that a victim has been brought back, because they've already so-called searched that area. Now they're expanding the crime scene, so they're not looking in the crime scene. Could she be right behind her house? Could she be along her fence? Could she be in, who knows? Because the dogs are on hold, y'all. They're on hold for a special day. Mike says, if the house was immaculate, like they say, could Nancy have tried to get away after outside, and that's where the blood came from? Well, we talked about that a little bit earlier. So they said that the house was immaculate a couple days ago, and then it just came out yesterday, I think, that yes, the house was immaculate, but there were certain things in the house that were kind of moved. Now, they won't tell us what it was. It could have been a hairbrush that fell over on the floor, or was taken from the bathroom and set on the bed, or I'm just using that as an example. They won't tell us what in the house was moved, or to make them think whatever they're thinking now. So maybe there was a chair moved out of the way. I personally think, I've said it before, and I hate repeating myself so people think I'm a total fucking idiot, but It's how I cover things, and I do repeat myself sometimes, and I'm sorry if that bothers you. But I think that when she was got out of bed, it was supposed to be a quick thing, right? Well, when was the last time you tried to move an 84-year-old out of her sleep quickly to the door and get her outside? Who also has mobility issues. So to me, I think it's very plausible that, you know, she's dizzy, she's disoriented, she hasn't fully woke up. There's strangers around her. I mean, she's probably, I know she had to have been terrified. Did she fall over and hit her nose on like the side of the door, or fall into a cabinet? Maybe her tooth hit her lip, or a little scratch on her head that would cause that type of bleeding. We just don't know. We don't know. Because we've heard it all, right? There was blood all over the house. Now there's no blood on the house. Now there's just blood only in the foyer area. Oh, y'all, it's just never ending. Hi, Tamara. Good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Mama, good to see you again, love bug. So good to see you again. Some creators are saying JLR did one of the latest letters. Come on, knock it off. What, Miss Barbara, what are they saying? What would be the reasoning? What would be the gain? I mean, everything that we all do is for a purpose, right? We clean the house to have a clean house. We make coffee because we're falling asleep. What would be the purpose of JLR sending a letter? Lizzo said it looked to be a very small perimeter. Lizzo, that's what I was thinking too, because we don't even have it on video, and they had drones up. Somebody would have gotten video of those dogs, right? Liz has always said she's very nearby. Liz has always said that. That's the truth. Tamara says, I pray she is found safe and has a safe return home with her loved ones. Amen, Tamara. Honey is actually feeling better. That's good. Hi, Beth. Everything I found, all family members, including Thomas, have been cleared. Have they changed position on this? Well, we know that the police lie, and that's allowed. The police, lawyers, any one of you or me, we're not sworn to the truth unless we're signing on the dotted line or in front of a court of law. It's a well-known fact that police use lies constantly to get the truth out of people, and that's not against the law. We also know that in every case, big or small, nobody is cleared. Nobody is cleared until they have a suspect. They're always watching you, unless you have a die-hard, you're seeing up on the screen at a Garth Brooks concert right at the time of the killings. But that's not to say you didn't send somebody to do the killings, So nobody is truly cleared until they have got evidence and they've got someone locked up. So I think that's bullshit. I think it's just another thing Nano said to get us quit talking about the family. Charlie says, also wondered, seeing how the pacemaker is tied to an app on her phone, couldn't they take the phone around the area to see if it ever pinpoints to anything? Be great if the pacemaker has GPS built in it. We've covered that at length on this channel. And what we do know is that they sent out a sniffer, which they put at the bottom of a helicopter, which can sniff out. It has to fly so far to the ground. And then let's just say Nancy was laying in the desert and that sniffer went over it. It's highly possible that the sniffer could pick up Nancy's pacemaker, because we know that a pacemaker does not die when when a person dies. The pacemaker could live on for many years. In fact, they are built to last for many, many, many years. So just because a person is dead does not mean that the pacemaker is dead as well. So that's been done. I don't think they listen. They didn't even pick the mat up from the door, honey. There's no way somebody's walking around with her iPhone or her smartwatch to see if they can find Nancy, even though that's a great idea. Out of cash. Oh, me too. I'm still feeling that it was a woman at the front door in the dark, the eyebrows. I definitely thought it was a woman at first because I only saw the facial picture first, and I was like, oh my God. They have such pretty eyes. Y'all, I notice eyes. I just, I always look for the good in somebody first. And so I saw those eyes. I was like, man, that girl's got some beautiful eyes. And then I saw the body. I was like, no way. No way. That's a dude. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I'm willing to be wrong. One day at a girl. I like your name. Look up Savannah's husband. We have in link, in a lot of link. I don't believe he had anything to do with it, but who knows? Who freaking knows, right? Mama says, I just hit the like button. Who else forgot? Listen, don't make Mama and Nate get on y'all's asses. Hit that like. Double tap your screen. Magic's going to happen, I promise. Lizzo says, hi, Beth Walt. Yes, they cleared them, but they absolutely shouldn't have since nobody has been found. Tomato hot sauce dude absolutely shouldn't since he was the last to see Nancy. That is correct. Warehouse says, gotta be Joe Biden. I'm not considering Joe Biden either. That's off the list. That's funny. Lizzo said, Charlie, they used a sniffer. Okay, so we got that. What's the topic? We're talking the Nancy Guthrie case. Jamie, welcome. Yes, the cops can lie in an active investigation. Is he the only son-in-law? No. So there's Savannah and I'm sure I need to get caught up on comments because I'm sure people have already answered you, Beth. But Savannah and Annie, Nancy's daughters, are both married. Sharon said, I believe it was a woman as well. Welcome, Sharon. Welcome. Thank you for coming in. Listen, I love it when you guys, you don't have to agree with anything I say. You're not going to get blasted here. You're not. You're allowed to say anything you want to as long as it's not disrespectful to the victim. Miss Nancy is at this point all I care about. And so I'd rather not be disrespectful towards her. But you're welcome to have your own opinions here without getting blasted about it. Savannah's ex-husband is more likely to have something to do with it. Yeah, and Beefcake, my husband, actually looked into that and he couldn't believe it because I asked him to. And y'all know, what I deal with, that conspiracy theorist that I live with. And he was like, you need to be looking at this. And I was like, that's why I got you looking at it. Just let me know what you think. Give me the cliff notes. Not thinking it could be Savannah's husband. It could be anyone, but Savannah and her husband have money. That's always a big motivator, Beth says. It's Bernie Sanders in his mittens, y'all. Tasha, I'm going to whip you. David says, this uninformed speculation about people who have not been charged with anything is disgusting. Well, David, let me ask you this, honey. So, do you understand that every you're so funny and cute. Come here, give me a hug, David, because I'm gonna break this to you easy, okay? Listen, every person that's ever been charged with the crime always started out as speculation. Did you know that? Somebody always, whether it was a cop or you or the stranger down the street, suspected somebody, and that's how eyes got on him. And then bada bing, bada bang, they were the ones that did it. So if we're not supposed to speculate, then no crime is ever going to get solved. And I'm sorry you're offended, but go somewhere else and be offended, because we don't do offense here. Listen, if you're offended just by that, just stick around, honey. Oh, my mouth is going to really offend you. What about the son of Nancy Grace? Cameron. I don't believe Cameron had anything to do with it. Some people do, though. Some people absolutely do. Thank you for your view, David. Yeah, hit the thumbs up. It's just speculation, girl. Chill. Chill. From that can come some good ideas. Mike YouTube says, I've seen the theories of the blood being planted. If true, could there be a secret room in the house or pool house that the police never checked? I don't think about the pool house. I know they've been in and out of the pool house, which is, some people call it a casita, some people call it the guest house. So they've been in and out of that. But JB, who is our FBI, retired FBI agent of 20 years, did say that it is very likely that at the very least, Nancy had probably a stand-up type of safe in her home, and possibly a safe room. And that comes from the FBI. Just me, hello. This case has so many twists and turns, it's almost like it's fiction. My heart breaks for the family. They're in my thoughts every day. Bless them. Thank you, Just Me. I appreciate you. Listen, Lizzo said, take your offense and shove it up your pipe. Your tailpipe. Little Red, hello. Savannah didn't disappear distraught. I've heard satanic sacrifice. I've heard people say that as well. In fact, somebody was in here a little while ago and said they believe it was a sacrifice. And we know what's going on. Listen, Hollywood, I think we finally broke it. Who knew, right? I'm blown away by the things that I every day seem to find out about somebody new that I actually liked and paid to see their films or paid to hear their music in Hollywood that have done some really sick shit. It's amazing how we look up to people and then we idolize them, and some of them actually become heroes, and you find out that they're just pieces of shit, the most vile freaking pieces of shit, all for the fountain of youth and all for the love of money. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting. It just makes me ill. It makes me ill that at this point, I don't know. I will never pay to see another movie. I won't do it. And I hope Hollywood completely folds to the internet. I hope that what we thought was going to happen in 2020 was that Hollywood would never make movies again, that it would all be done like on platforms on the internet, right? And Hollywood would go away, and that would be the best thing to happen. But the reality is it's not gonna stop what's going on, you guys. There's so much money involved in this. We've got so many people missing. I don't know if you guys heard, Dad's gone live. I don't watch him, but I do follow, like, I'm on a bunch of Facebook groups and stuff. And his is one of them. And he showed a picture of him and was it his dad that was with him? And they went out just kind of looking through, looking for Nancy in the desert and stuff like that. And he found 2 different places that it looks like would be areas that they would traffic children through, because there were children's shoes out there, like in different places and things like that, children's clothing. And it's like a trail of them just trailing out, right? Walking the same way. And it just made me so sick. Because you're talking to someone or listening to someone, you guys, that I've been told for years. I'm embarrassed to say this, but I'm a real person. I have been told by my husband for years. I've been told by my boys for years that human trafficking is going on. I have been told by my husband for years about pizza, the Pizzagate thing and the ice cream truck and what it meant, right? For years and years and years. Years ago, he told me about Andrew. Years ago, he told me about all these people. And I was like, you're full of shit. Like, that's disgusting. Don't talk about that. And he's like, well, why can't we find these people? Where are all these children? Where are they at? We ain't found none of them. And every day thousands more going missing. And y'all, I'm just being honest with you right here, right now. I've had this channel for 2 years, and people that have been with me since day one will tell you when they first met me on here that I didn't believe in none of that. None of it. And the more research I do and the more that we talk about stuff like this and the more people like Dad's Gone Live is out there showing video of what he's seeing in that desert and the Diddy trial, Tashi. They were so right. And I just didn't want to believe that that's happening. I still don't want to believe it. I don't want to believe that children, babies are being slaughtered for the fountain of youth. Sad. Nancy J. Hi, pizza ice cream truck. Well, so pizza was apparently a word that was used in Hollywood parties, and not just Hollywood parties, like elite parties, meaning, you know how we have Botox parties? Like, well, we don't because we don't have money for that. But there are people that have Botox parties, and you go in and, you know, there's a lady there and she's doing Botox, you know, and everybody's drinking their champagne and bullshit, you know, that kind of life. There are parties like that, right? And the code word is pizza, meaning, I'm gonna try to put this nicely, and ice cream, meaning that there's going to be a sacrifice there for blood and for adrenochrome, which is supposed to keep people young, and that's why people are sacrificed, that and for cult-like reasons. But the pizza has to do with the adrenochrome. You have to look it up. I didn't believe it for a long time. And I did look it up, but just barely, because I didn't want to know. I didn't want to know it was that sick. But let's just face it. What big name Hollywood person, or very elite person is going to put on Instagram, can't wait for that pizza party tonight, or something stupid like that, like they're ordering Domino's, right? Like the rest of us. Now it all makes sense. And now you don't see that name out there anymore. You don't see that word, I should say. You don't see the word being used anymore because people finally talked. They talked, and a lot of it blew up like right before the Diddy trial, about all of that. And so people are distancing themselves from that stuff, but it is really true. It's so true. Cecilia says there was a real estate agent come forward with these dates and has a man who was sus in the area, and he signed in to enter an open house in the area. What happened to that information? Cecilia, I have never heard of that. Never. I'll have to look that up. I will look that up. Zyelis, did I say that? Zy? I hope I'm saying that right. What can we do as the layperson? Why is this being allowed? Prayer, awareness, talking about it even when it's uncomfortable, making sure our grown-ass children know to watch their children, making sure our grown-ass children are not letting their cell phones and video games babysit their children, because the predators are online. They're not. Remember back in the day, it was the ice cream truck when we were younger. My mom wouldn't even let us go to the ice cream truck because it was always said, since I was a little girl, that the ice cream truck was driven by pedophiles, right? And so my mom wouldn't let us go to the ice cream truck without my dad. Not that we ever got ice cream that much because, we just weren't like that. But we don't have to worry about the ice cream trucks anymore. We have to worry about what our kids are seeing in their video games and people they're talking to online that you don't even know about. That's what we can do as lay people. It's the only thing we can do. We got to watch our own kids. Listen, I didn't have a village to help me raise my children. I knew what my children were doing at all times. It is the one thing that I can honestly say I'm the most proud of and that I was the best at. And that was raising my kids, because my kids were my whole life. We were not in a good situation with their father. And we were overseas a lot. And so my kids were just my everything and my obsession. And I'm not saying that people should be obsessed with their kids, but he's obsessed enough to know that kids nowadays, there are apps we don't even know about. Just found out some the other day that you should know about. You should be looking that up as parents and grandparents. What are the new apps? What are the apps that the kids are, paying attention to? It's out there. The information's out there. And you got to have those hard talks even with your grown ass children who might say, Mom, we got this. Right? Okay, well, I'm just making sure you got it. If you end up hating me for telling you, then that's fine. At least we're taking care of the kids, right? That's where it's coming from. It's coming online. And it's scary. I can't tell you how many kids in the month of December and January, how many teenagers went missing. It was insane how many teenagers went missing in the months of December and January, just this past December and January. And y'all, this is me sitting over here with my hands crossed, right? I'd hear another one and I'm so pissed. And I'm like, yeah, they ended up running off with this person or that person that they met online, right? Because I'm always looking. And one time I was severely wrong. It was a girl who, yes, met somebody online, but it wasn't for a hookup or to run away from home. It was actually for something like she was selling something and he ended up killing her and taking her out of state. And I felt so guilty because I was just like, because my granddaughters, I have two 17-year-old granddaughters, and they call me and they're like, Mammy, that's what they call me. Have you heard about this one? This one's missing out of Westville. This one's missing out of here. And I'm like, yeah, baby, I heard of it. And they're like, what's going on? And I'm like, half of the time they are running away for a better life that they think will be a better life with some person they met online that's a freak. And I was like, that's why you guys don't do that. I was like, if you need to run away, call me. I'll come steal you from your parents. Because I get it. I raised them brats. I know. But you know what I mean? So I'm grateful that especially my two oldest granddaughters who are both 17, they're very open with me about everything. And they always know that if it's just like I have a crush or I kiss that guy, I'm not going to, and their parents know too. I'm not telling you everything your kids talk to me about. But if I feel like you need to know something, I don't want to be held responsible for it. You're going to know. So I think that's the only place that's the only three things that I can think of. Awareness, talking about it, even when it's uncomfortable, and just for the love of God, try to keep a step ahead. 221, God bless my daughter. Try to keep a step ahead on the new apps that are coming out. The Sheriff is Dirty CV says, welcome. Nancy, oh my God, I've never heard of this. Thanks for informing me. You're welcome, honey. And I'm sad that I have to be the one to inform you. Believe me. And if I'm informing you, you can take it to the bank because I don't do that conspiracy stuff. I just live with it. I don't know, Cecilia. They don't seem to pay attention in any of these tips. Hi, Jamie. I believe that it's a deranged fan of Savannah's. Could be. It's just funny to me that she was about to go talk publicly about ICE, and then the next day her mom gets taken. Not to bring politics into this, but listen, that is very, very, very a high probability. Not only that, she was fixing to go cover the Olympics. A lot of stuff was happening. around Savannah Guthrie. Nico, hi. My mom is obsessed with me, but she would 100% not be okay with this. She would want me to face the things I did wrong. Welcome. Thank you for coming in. Okay. How many, Zia, what do you mean, honey? How many what? Because they're stealing them and have been stealing them for decades. Yeah, but then when you're someone like me and and keep your head in the sand, I was terrible, Nico. I'd be the first person to admit it. I was terrible. I didn't want to know. I was so scared to know. Pink Peony says, hello, Pink. Laney parents have been known and paid big money to have their loved ones smuggled into the country from. I have never known any of those children being lost. Never. I know that it's a fact. It's a fact that parents, even in the U.S., Lolly, have sold their children. And just the other day on one of the news things that my husband was watching. Oh no, I saw it on Facebook actually, and I ran over to my computer to find out if it was legit. A guy in Florida got in trouble for trying to sell. Was it his daughter or his granddaughter? You guys, that was just the other day. Happens all the time. Danielle, hey chat, I'm new here. So the son-in-law, really shaking my head. That's what I believe, Danielle, I'm sorry. That's what I believe. I may be wrong. I want to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But that's just everything. I cannot take him out. I've tried. It just makes sense to me. Charlie says, I lived in a very small town. We had the Dairy Queen truck come around, but it was a tiny thing like a meter-made vehicle. Lizzo says, I was in shock when I looked into the missing people in Tucson alone. Between January and March, I was shocked at the amount of teenagers. Yes. Nico says, Marshall Scotty, where are you at? My thing is messing up. So, Marshall Scotty's playground in the east of San Diego country. A lot of children went missing. Hi, Susie. Good to see you. Nico says, Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm. Yeah. Susie says, it is the son-in-law. He did it. He would have money motive. I agree. I don't think he's the one actually, Susie, that we're seeing on the camera. But I do think that he is the mastermind and those are his goons, you know. Nico says that helped solve murder not too long ago. That happened in the 80s because AI Grok. I lived in this town. I had family restaurant for over 50 years there. Wow. Hi, Teeks. Who cares about an old lady that you never knew even existed? If it was you and your family member, you might have gotten a single mention on the nightly news and never be spoken to again. Well, I care. I care that it's an old lady that I've never met or never will. But I am in agreement with you that if it happened to me or my family, you're correct, because I don't have enough money and there is nobody who is a celebrity in my family. So I have to agree with you about that. Mike says, you never know about the ones around me. We just had a guy go to prison for 40 years for selling ice cream to his own kids. Hi, Paul C. Good to see you. I thought the daughter had something to do with it. You mean Annie or do you mean Savannah? A guy's got 40 years for giving his kids ice cream. What a goof. It's ice cream is code word. Code. Ice cream and pizza are code words. My head wasn't in the sand ever. I was born for this time to save children. That's nice. Sorry, I miss saying hello to each of you. I've been driving and have a wild 10-month-old on my hands. But hello, thanks for being here. Hi, Jeff. Jeff says McMartin Preschool in Manhattan Beach, California was real. They were abducting kids and taking them to underground tunnels. and the court system was in on it. Jeff, is that the one that was on the news a while back that also had something to do with a church? I remember there was a church and there were underground tunnels connected from the church to somewhere else. Was it the hospital? And they were trafficking children and babies through there. Was that it, Jeff? I could be wrong, but I remember hearing about that and actually seeing it on the news. I think it's Sue says, I think that too about the brother-in-law tomato hot sauce dude. Because once you have that kind of shit on your computer, there's a tag on it. And it goes out with the tag on the bottom. They have a huge map of people that are looking for this kind of shit. I help find missing and exploited children. Tashi wants to know if your real name is Ernie. Nika says, I was sex trafficked in the 80s in a residential school. Wow. Wow. I'm glad you're okay. And I'm talking physically. I'm sure you carry some mental scars from that. Belinda, it breaks my heart to know how evil humans can be. Amen. No, that's Nico from San Diego County. Beth says, there's something about tomato hot sauce dude that gives off bad vibes. If he's innocent, then I'm terribly sorry. That sad comment about why he cares, some old lady, sad not to give 0 fucks. Yeah. Sometimes I just have to keep going past it because I know if it was his mom, he'd be thankful that anybody is talking about it. So would I. Pink Peony says, if Annie was cooking on Saturday evening, tomato hot sauce dude may have had a few glasses of wine already, not able to safely pick up Nancy. Somehow I just don't believe that though, Pink Peony. I just don't. Jeff said there's the underground tunnels all over Manhattan's There's underground tunnels all over Manhattan, Hermosa, and Redondo. Yes, it happens to be part of the story. I did not know that. I grew up at Hermosa and Redondo Beach. I grew up in Carson. And I had no idea that, until you just now said it, that there were tunnels underneath there. He drove her home, Tashi says. Allegedly. Nico says, because I'm a surfer since the 70s. Love me some surfers. Jay Sweet, no offense, but sick of hearing about the Guthrie family is going through. But if this was anyone else, there would be 0 coverage. I'm in agreement with you on that. If it was my mom, y'all wouldn't hear about it. Well, y'all would, because I'd be on here begging you to come help me locate my mama. I fear Nancy's already stashed in Mexico somewhere. I think she is definitely deceased in the desert of Mexico. How far does Nancy live from Annie? 13 minutes drive. Lizzo said, if they were drinking, then how did he manage to bring her home? Corn has a tag. I did not know that. I don't think Mexican mafia is involved, but they could find out if she is. Beth, I'm with you on that. I don't think the mafia, I just don't think none of them are involved, but I think it's worth talking to them. I think that's a great idea. I think it would be worth talking to them and even paying the cartel and say, get something for me. Get something for me. I mean, listen, you guys, I'm just going to say it. I've talked about it on my channel before. I grew up in a very bad area of California and Carson back in the day when it was gang ridden. And my dad went and bought the house without my mom knowing about it. And he was so excited to take her home, and she could not believe that he bought a house in Carson. I mean, it was in the 70s. It was 60s. Well, I didn't live there in the 60s, but in the 70s when I did live there, it was just so full of gang violence. And my mom was scared to death. Well, the guy that lived next door, his name was Bobby Ramos, and we called him Porky. And he was over the Victoria, the gang in my town was called Victoria Park Locos. And he was over it. And so once my dad got us all moved in, you guys, he strapped his gun around his waist. Listen, he's the last living American cowboy there is in the United States. I truly believe that. He strapped his gun, his old Western gun, around his waist on a holster, and he even tied it to the side of his legs, and he walked next door and knocked on the door. And he told Bobby, he said, we got to have a talk. And apparently how that talk went was, my dad had 4 girls and 1 son. Bobby had his mom and his brothers, and my dad knew that he was dealing drugs and that he was ahead of our gang in that neighborhood. And we had a lot of rival gangs around us, a lot of shootings. And my dad said, I'm going to protect you and you're going to protect me. And I'm going to protect your family and you're going to protect mine. And you're going to put out to all of the surrounding neighborhoods and stuff that if anybody comes to my house, they will leave in a body bag. And he said, and I'm, so they made a pact. And the pact was that, yes, Bobby put that out, and for real, we never had any, even though, oh my God, the police, the chopper, LAPD was over our house nearly every weekend, shining lights all over in the backyard. We had to sit in the hallway because if a gun happened to go off, then it would have to go through so many walls of plaster to get to us kids. So it was just the thing we were used to. But what my dad did for Bobby and his brother and people in the gang that he knew really, really, really well was when they would get the word that the police were coming or they'd hear the choppers coming, we had an 8-foot wall around our backyard, and my dad would let them hop the fence. And we had huge palm trees that when the chopper was over air and they were shining the light down into our backyard because of the palm trees, they couldn't see people in our flower bed. We had a swimming pool and they couldn't see the foliage, the trees and stuff. So my dad would let them hide there long enough for the police to come. And then what would happen is once they would look in our backyard really good with the helicopter, then they moved to the next house, to the next house, and it would keep going like that. Once the helicopter moved from ours, then they knew that the police were going to come through our house and go to the backyard. So my dad would warn them and tell them which fence to hop over next that the police had already been to. So you may say, well, that was wrong with your dad. He was harboring, and yeah, he could have went to prison. There were times I remember we had a rafter that was up in the garage that nobody knew was there by the way it was built in to my dad's attic. And there were times that Bobby had been sick or somebody in the house had been sick, and my dad put him up in the rafters and keep him safe. Because the police never looked through our house. They knew my dad really well and they trusted him. They knew he was in the military. But sometimes in order to keep your family safe, you got to make deals with the devil. And my dad did, but he wasn't a devil to us. He did protect us. And in fact, when my dad would have to leave and go to school through the military and stuff like that, guess who stayed the night with all of us? His brother. Porky's little brother, that was a gang member. But Porky would tell him, get over there. And my dad would work it out with him. He would stay in the house with us every night that my dad was gone to keep us safe. And so I know a little bit about gang violence and how it works out. But I also know that gangs know stuff. And it's their creed to shut the hell up. And they don't tell on each other. They don't snitch. They don't even tell on their rivals because it'll get them a bullet to the head. They know that. But in bigger organizations like the Mexican Mafia or the cartel or something like that, they got enough people surrounding them, just like my dad had enough people surrounding us, that throw them enough money, they'll find out. If anybody will find out if it has anything to do with the Mexican border or the people over in Mexico, they'll know. And throw some money at them. That's what I would do. That's not true. Los Angeles is not safe anymore. What's not true? I lived in Carson. Carson is not a place that I would live in ever again. My best friend, my childhood best friend, is actually still lives on the block that I grew up on. She's the only person that's left in the neighborhood that was there, Victoria Park. And I went, the last time I was there was 2 years ago for her dad's funeral. And I remember standing outside and just looking around and thinking I could never live here because of just how many people. I'm a country girl. You know, I like being in the country. And I could never live that in that populated of an area again. And just because my childhood, I'd be scared, even though they cleaned out the gangs out of Victoria Park. And for the most part, what I hear, Carson, they cleaned out the gangs pretty much. They pushed them all back. And so Carson is a pretty safe city again. So I mean, I don't know about the greater Los Angeles area. I just know like Gardena, California, Long Beach, Redondo, you know, those places that I lived around. Daddy was down to earth. Clarissa, yeah, I mean, you have to be, right? You just, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. And he did it right. He was very respected. And he was a badass, and he's still a badass. Plus, it's called survival mode. That's right. Mama says he would have gone to prison for unaliving them too. Just got to pick your battles. That's right. Beth says my sis had a home in Tucson that had a Cinderella block wall. Oh, you mean a cinder block? A cinder block. Yeah, that's what we had. Right on the other side was the Bashful Bandit, the old notorious biker bar. Wow. Wow. Nowhere is safe these days. Not anymore. Not anymore. I'll never live in a populated area. Look, I know that even in rural areas things happen, but I feel like I'm safer in a rural area. And it's not so much I just love the countryside. I love having my 3 dogs and having land that they could just run. I love having my grandkids come over and we're troppling through, you know, land and just being outside. And I just love all that. Beth says I lived in ganghood. 3 uncles in the gang heard me denying any knowledge of them whereabouts, etc., and never had a problem when their kids fucked with me. These uncles came down hard on them. Very badass. Yeah. It's a whole different world. It's a whole different world. But I'll tell you what, you grow up really fast and you learn about people differently. I never looked down on them. That's what was weird. My dad didn't look down on them. My dad understood it was their way of life and it's the way that they grew up, even though, I mean, they weren't going in and robbing banks or even robbing the corner store. They were killing each other. And my dad understood that it was the way that they were raised and it was a way of life, and he never judged them. And I thank God that my dad did pass that on to me. You don't know what people go through. We have no right to judge people's lives. Do we have to agree with it? No. Do we surround ourselves in it? No. But some people just don't know better. They don't know better. Oh no, Nico, I didn't take anything you said that you were personally talking to me. Beth says, I mentioned the Bashful Bandit because the helicopter overhead every weekend. It was crazy. People escaping, running through their yard. Yeah. Yeah, but my dad knew exactly who was running through ours. And I don't know. I wouldn't trade anything for those parts of my life. There's many things that I'd rather I didn't have to live through, even those times in California, some things, but I had a good life, and I packed a lot into my 56 years, military, gang life, living in the hood and living in overseas and beautiful places and living all over this beautiful country and traveling everywhere. I've been blessed, and I've been very blessed. And That's all because I had great parents that taught me, don't judge people. Just don't, you don't know their walk. You don't know. And I always try to respect you because you're just a human and you breathe just like I do. But it's your choice what to do with that respect. If you're a total dickhead and an asshole, then guess what? I got nothing else. I'll walk away. Just act like you never even knew me. If you're a decent person, do you. Don't come after me or my grandkids or my family. Do you. And I'll shut the hell up about it. It was imperative to make nice with my neighborhood gang members to ensure my brothers, friends, and family could visit safely. Right. When it's not a heinous crime, mind your own business. Treat your neighbors fairly. Be decent. You don't know their story. That's right. That's right. All right, guys, I've been on here for almost 3 hours. That is it for me. I think I've put out about as much as I've got, and a little bit more. It was so good to have you guys in chat. Thank you so much. It means more than you know to me. Will you just do me a favor and hit the thumbs up? That's all I ever ask of anybody. I will be back on tonight. If you're a late night person or you're having some insomnia, come on over and join chat with us. We are covering the Letitia Stout murder trial against her stepson, Gannon Stout, 11 years old, who she brutally murdered and in 2020. And she was tried and convicted of life without parole for the first-degree murder of him. There's a lot of details in between all that. Well, on the 4th of this month, just last week, that conviction was overturned. So she is not a convicted murderer anymore, guys. It's done. So she will be having a new trial right now. It's in the hands of the Supreme Court of Colorado. But the law is the law, you guys. She won her appeal. And now all that's been wiped away. I think the Supreme Court is going to uphold that because it is the law. What happened in court was terrible. And such a small mistake made such a huge impact. And so we are covering that because she will be going back to trial, hopefully no later than the end of this year. And we will be covering that live. So if you guys are just up and you need somewhere to hang out, you want to come in, we have a great chat in the middle of the night as well over this. And we'd love to have you there. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your support. And listen, y'all be good or be good at it. If you can't be good at it, take some video for me. Send it to me because I need some content. Love you guys. See you next time. Bye.